So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel, Fiction Star. This is the second part of the series. The series name is, What If Naruto Had Power of Upper Moon 1? So let's start the video. Wait. What's that supposed to mean? Sakura shouted. At this Marino Ibiki laughed. There never was a 10th question to begin with. Or rather, you could call your two choices the 10th question. He said smiling. Huh? Sakura replied. Hey. That what were the first 9 questions for? They were pointless then. Temari yelled out. They were not pointless. They had already served their intended purpose. He explained. HN. Temari let out. To test your individual information gathering ability. That purpose. He said. He suddenly changed personalities, Temari thought. Information gathering? She asked. First, as the rules explained, success on this test is dependent on the whole team doing well. This puts pressure on each member not to mess up things for their teams. He explained. Naruto nodded his head with his arm folder. That was obvious. Naruto said. Layer 3 people thought together. But the questions on the test were not the types that could be answered by genin. Because of that, most people came to the same conclusion that to score points you would have to cheat. Basically, the premise of this test is to cheat. As cheating targets, we had 2 or more chunins who knew all the answers mixed into the crowd. To help you guys out? He explained, as the 2 chunin hidden in the group turned back. Naruto saw that the one he cheated off of was the chunin and blink. Man, sure was tough finding that guy. Somebody from behind Naruto said, Sure was. He heard. Naruto just stared blankly at Ibiki. Siko looked towards Naruto with an eyebrow raised. So he cheated and didn't know he was supposed to cheat. Siko thought. I'll just go with the flow. Naruto thought. Yeah, you would have to be an idiot not to realize that. Naruto said. Wait, he cheated and he didn't know. Damn Naruto, I thought you would have figured it out. Sure, so thought. Ignoring Naruto, Ibiki went on. Of course those who cheated like fools were systematically failed. Why, you might ask, he said, pulling off his bandana revealing a bald, scarred scalp. Mostly everyone flinched seeing his scalp. Because in times information is more important than life, and on missions and on the battlefield, people risk their lives to get it. He said. Horrible, burns, screw-hole scars, the after effect of torture. Sasuke thought. Both Naruto and Shurso eyes glazed over as Shurso's right hand went to his chest and Naruto's right hand arm began to shake underneath the desk. Hee, must be worse under those gloves. Of course I wouldn't make the mistake of becoming a prisoner. The one-eyed Otonin thought. I've seen worse. Katsu thought. Siko looked uninterested. The information an enemy gets after being noticed by a third person may not always be accurate. Remember, collecting incorrect information can cause heavy loss to both your teammates and your village. Thus, we made you gather information in the form of cheating. He told them as he retied his Hitai bandana. We simply chucked out those who were lacking in that field during that part of this exam. I still don't get the purpose of the 10th question. Temari said. The 10th question was the main question of the first exam. Ibiki answered. What do you mean? Asked Sakura. The 10th question was a take or not take choice, Ibiki explained. It was a painful 2-choice problem. Those who did not take it failed with their teams. If you chose to take it and could not answer it, your right to take the exam would have been stripped from you forever. A truth leap of faith. Ibiki walked towards the center of the room. I'll give an example. Say you have been made a chunin. He said, your mission is the retrieval of a secret document. Your number of enemy ninja, their abilities and their armament are completely unknown to you. You may even encounter traps set up by enemy ninja. Do you accept this mission or not? He asked them sternly. Just because your life, as well as those of your teammates, may be in danger, are you going to avoid the mission altogether? The answer is no. There are many missions that involve very heavy risks, and cannot be avoided. He paused for effect. Your ability to show your teammates courage when needed and to get through even the worst situations is what we look for in a chunin, a squad leader. Those who cannot bet their fate in a critical situation. Those who give up when given the chance because there is always next year, and then walk away from their chance. those pieces of trash who can only make cowardly choices, don't have the right to be Chunin. That is what I believe. Those of you who stayed, who had chosen to take the 10th question, answered it correctly. You have gotten your foot into the entrance, and I believe without a doubt that you can get through the difficulties you will undoubtedly face. The first exam of the Chunin selection exams end right now. I wish you all good luck, he said with a small, proud smile on his face. Ibiki, Siko, Shurso, Katsu, and Naruto glanced at a window as a large object came flying through the window. Many of the genin shielded their eyes from the flying shards of glass. Kunai flew from the mass as it seemed to expand. When everyone looked up from the chaos that had taken the room by storm, they saw a huge banner with a barely dressed woman in front of it. She was very attractive and was a spitfire of energy. She wore a fishnet tank top, a barely legal miniskirt, and a tan trench coat. The banner behind her read, "Second Examiner, Mitarashi Enko is here. Listen up, maggots. This is no time to get happy." The scantily clad woman shouted, "I am the second examiner, Mitarashi Enko. Let's start the next exam. Follow me," she said, pumping her hand in the air. Damn, Shida thought with a slight blush. It just so happens that Naruto thought the exact same thing. Ibiki peeked from behind the banner and looked at her. "Bad timing," he said. Enko blushed in embarrassment as she frowned. "This examiner is Naruto-ish. At least how he used to be," Sakura thought. 78. She asked with a cocky smirk, "Ibiki, you let 26 teams pass?" Now she was the one speaking in the annoyed tone while Ibiki was glaring at her. "The test was way too easy this time. We simply have an exceptional batch of students this time," commented Ibiki. Enko merely huffed in aggravation. "Oh well." Enko sighed. "I'll at least cut them half in the second exam," she said darkly. "At least in half. Cut us," Sakura thought, scared. "I'll give you all the details when we change places. Now follow me," she said with an evil look on her face. Outside of a dense forest. "Danger, stay out," Naruto read out loud as he looked at the sign on the gate surrounding the dense forest. "This is the location of the second exam," said Enko, Konoha's infamous 44th training ground. "The Forest of Death," she said with a sinister smile. "The Forest of Death?" asked Naruto. "What a creepy place," commented Sakura. "You'll soon find out exactly why it's called the Forest of Death," said Enko. "Humph, it just looks like a big forest to me," Naruto mocked. Enko smirked. "Forest? That just an overgrown garden waiting to be cut down," Shurso said, stopping by Naruto's right side. Enko's smirk widened as she drew two kunai quickly and threw them at the brothers. Naruto and Shurso didn't move as the kunai flew past them, slightly grazing their face before hitting the ground behind them. Enko appeared behind them with a kunai to each of their necks. "I like you too," she said semi-seductively before licking the blood leaking from Shurso's cheek. "Because kids like you get killed quickly and spraying the red blood I love," she said, switching to Naruto and licking the blood off his cheek. "Weird woman," Shurso thought. "That actually feels nice," Naruto thought. She suddenly sensed someone and drew a kunai. Enko's eyes suddenly darted away from Naruto to the approaching figure behind her. Drawing a kunai from her wrist holster, she moved to defend herself from her possible attacker, who simply held the kunai Enko had just thrown in her long coiled tongue. Before Enko or the ninja could say anything, the nin felt a sword as his and Enko felt one on hers. They looked at the blades and followed them to the owners. Enko saw Shurso on her right with his nodachi in hand, while the female Kusa nin behind her saw Naruto at the end of the sword. "That wasn't very nice," Shurso said like he was talking to kids. "Yeah. You two have been very bad girls. We may have to punish you," Naruto added, "but we could ignore it if you two promise to play nice from now on," Shurso said. "Or you could just take the spanking," Naruto added directly towards Enko. "Which one?" Shurso started. "Will you pick?" Naruto finished. They both had eerie smirks on their face. Enko and the Kusanin eyes twitched as they looked at them. The Kusanin turned to Enko with a smirk. "I guess I will have to apologize now. Though I was just returning your kunai to you," the Kusanin replied. She didn't look the least bit surprised that they were there. "Then I guess I should thank you," Enko replied, taking the kunai from her tongue. "But you know, You shouldn't sneak up behind me unless you want to die, Anko said with her eyes closed. The Kusanine was about to reply when Anko let out a yelp as two hands hit her backside. She turned her head to her side looking at Shurso and then Naruto with a blush of embarrassment on her face and a cold glare. We told you to play nice. Didn't we? Shurso said. But hey, if you want a spanking just tell me. I'll be happy to oblige. Naruto said huskily with a smirk. Most of the genin started to snicker at the exchange while a few of them had different opinions. I was right in picking him as my target. His brother is strong, I'll give him that, but he just seems wrong to me. Plus he's holding the katana a little too tightly. I can't wait to fight you, Naruto. Hopefully you will be the one to give me the challenge I need. Siko thought with a glint in her eyes. I barely saw them draw their katana. They remind me of Siko. I guess I really will have to add Naruto to my list, but Shurso comes first. Katsu thought, though Siko would be mad if I took Naruto out before she fought him. What to do? He thought, smirking. You're going down, fucker. Shido thought, glaring at Naruto. How did they get past her like that? They couldn't be stronger than me. She must have let them pass. Sasuke thought, Naruto, you pervert, I'm going to kick your ass. Sakura thought, maybe I'll take you up on that offer later, Foxboy, but for now, have a test. Anko said with a predator-like leer. Naruto and Shurso sheathed their blades and moved away from Anko just in case she would attack them. They were lucky when she just walked back to her previous position. Shurso eyed the Kusanine before he walked back to Naruto's side. The Kusanine smirked and walked back to her team. Hey Shurso. Naruto whispered. Yeah? He asked. Did we just get away with smacking her ass? Naruto whispered. Yeah, I think we did. He said. They looked at each other before they busted out laughing. Anko coughed, getting everyone's attention. She glared at the two-demon container before speaking. Now, before we start the second exam, I have to pass these out to you. She reached inside her trench coat and pulled out a stack of forms. Release papers. If you wish to take this exam, you have to sign these first. Why? Asked Naruto curiously. Because there will be deaths in this exam. And if I don't have you sign one of these, it would be all my responsibility. Anko answered with a smile. Also, it's less paperwork this way. Now, I have to explain this exam to you. To make a long story short, you will be part of the ultimate survival exercise. She handed a nearby genin the stack of release forms, and they were being passed around to each of the Chunin hopefuls. Survival. Troublesome, muttered Shikamaru lazily. Pulling out a map, she began to further explain. First, I'll explain the layout of the exam. Around Training Ground 44 are 44 locked gates. There's a forest, a river, and a tower in the center. It's about 10 kilometers between the gates and the tower. During the survival portion in the forest, you are to perform a certain task. Each team will be given a scroll marked either heaven or earth. 26 teams made it past the first exam. Only half. 13 will each get a heaven scroll. The other 13 teams will each get an earth scroll. Each team will battle for the other one's scroll. You must make it to the tower with both a heaven and an earth scroll with every member of your team. So 13 teams will lose their scrolls? Asked Sakura. That means half the teams participating will fail. True, but there is also a time limit, Anko added. This portion of the exam will last only 120 hours. Exactly 5 days from the beginning of the exam. 5 days! Shouted Ino. What about dinner? Shouted Chuji. Sorry maggots, but you're on your own. Anko informed them. The forest is full of food. Scrounge some up if you have to. Just watch out for the man-eating animals and poisonous plants and insects. Commented Kabuto. Ah man. Chuji complained. That's why it's called Survival Baka. Hissed Ino. It is highly unlikely that 13 teams will pass. Niji said. And as the days progress, the distance from the goal will become farther and farther, Rock Lee added, and the time to rest will become shorter. He then gave a competitive smirk. This will definitely get interesting, and the entire area is virtually crawling with enemies. Noted Sasuke. It is unlikely that anyone will get much rest in any case. So, not only will people fail by losing their scroll, but also if they fail to arrive within the 5-day time limit. Clarified Anko, while others will perish under the harshness of the course. Said Shikamaru, raising his hand, are you allowed to quit during the exam? As a rule, no, there is no giving up in the middle of the exam, Anko replied with a scowl at the Nara boy's question. You will be in the forest for 5 days regardless. Troublesome, he mumbled, while Ino was visibly restraining herself from bashing her teammate over his head. Now, as this is an exam, there are a few things that will get you disqualified, Anko continued. First, if your team does not make it with both scrolls at the end of the 5-day time limit. Second, if your team loses a team member through death or incapacitation. In other words, if even one of your teammates is unable to physically carry on. And a final rule. You must not look inside the scrolls until you make it to the tower. What happens if you do? Asked Ino. For anyone who does, they will be in for a surprise, and believe me, kid, you do not wish to find out, Anko replied with that sadistic smirk that even made the most stoic genin a bit unnerved. There will be times where a chunin will be asked to handle classified information. This will be to trust your trustworthiness. Well, that's all for my explanations. We'll exchange 3 forms for either a heaven or an earth scroll over there, Anko said, pointing to a desk set up nearby. And then we will choose which gates will be your starting points, and then you will all start together. One final word of advice, she said with a sigh. Don't die. After everyone was handed a form, Naruto went and leaned against a tree. He quickly read the form before signing. He then turned around and looked across each of the teams and smirked. Strong opponents, all in the same area, all fighting for scrolls, this is exciting. Naruto said with excitement in his voice. Calm down, we haven't even started yet. Though I have to agree, Shurso said, appearing next to him. Did you finish filling out your form? He asked. Naruto nodded before turning to him. You know we will also be enemies. Naruto said. Yeah, but let's avoid each other until the next exam. I want to fight you when everyone watching. That way I could gloat after it's all over and you can't try to change how things happened, Shurso said with a playful smirk. As if you will defeat me, Naruto replied. You two talk as if you're sure you're going to get the chance to fight each other. After all, you could be defeated by someone before then. Katsu said, walking up to them with his team. Naruto and Shurso turned towards him and his team and smirked. That won't happen, Naruto started. Oh, where are my matters? My name is Tamatsu Katsu, that's Osamu Shido, and since you didn't meet her yet, he said, looking at Shurso. She is Busujima Siko, Katsu said. Shido looked at them blankly while Siko glanced at Shurso before looking towards Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, Naruto said, smirking. Uzumaki Shurso, Shurso said also with a smirk. Now, as I was saying, that won't happen because we are the best and can't be stopped, Naruto said. You're very cocky, Shido said with a glare. Not cocky. Just very, very confident, Naruto said, smirking. Shido glared harder and opened his mouth to say something when Siko stepped up. It's good to be confident in yourself, but do you have the skills to back it up? She asked calmly. Of course I do, Siko-chan, Naruto said, smiling. Siko looked stunned that he added chan to her name. Shido growled at Naruto and stepped to him. You, how dare you address her so familiarly? Shido snarled. Well, it was quite simple. First, since I know her name, I opened my mouth and said it. Then at the end of her name I said chan. Do you understand now? Naruto asked slowly. Siko stared at him with a small grin on her face. Shurso and Katsu were looking at them, trying to hold back their laughter. Though if you don't, I would understand. After all, you don't look the least bit smart to me, Naruto added. You bastard. Shido let out, lunging at him. He would have hit him if Naruto didn't crouch down to pick up and crumble paper that was oddly between his feet. Shido crashed into the ground as Naruto looked at it. Hey, look, I found 100 ryo, Naruto said, standing back up. He pocketed it and looked around. Hey, where did Shido-teen go? Naruto asked. Shurso and Katsu at this point were opening laughing. Even Siko was chuckling. Naruto turned around to see Shido on the floor and titled his head. Hey, why are you on the floor? Naruto asked innocently, making them laugh harder. Shido stood up and growled. You piece of trash! Shido yelled. At the moment, Shurso, Siko, and Katsu stopped laughing. Naruto and Shurso took on a serious look as they stared at Shido. Naruto turned from him clutching his fist tightly, and wordlessly walked away to find his team. Shurso stared at Naruto before turning back to Katsu. It was nice to meet you. But I have to go to my team now. Hopeful we will get to fight in the last round. Shurso said. I hope so too. Katsu said. But I think Siko would rather fight your brother. He said, glancing at Siko, who was still watching Naruto. I kinda figured that when I first saw her. Though I was hoping she found him cute enough to date. Shurso said, smirking. Siko snapped out of her thinking and looked towards Shurso with a light blush on her face. Katsu blinked a couple of times before chuckling. You never know. She could probably want that too. But only time will tell, since she won't even tell me. Katsu said, smirking. Siko narrowed her eyes at him but said nothing. Ja-eni, he said, turning around while casting Shido a glare that made Shido flinch back. Siko and Katsu held an expressionless look as they watched Shurso leave. Siko remained quiet, and went to lean on the tree to fill out her form while Katsu looked at him with a heated glare. You fool! You just made yourself two enemies. He whispered. So what? Both of them are weak. They couldn't stand up to me, he replied smugly. HN. You are truly a fool, Shido. Their eyes, they changed. They held darkness deeper than the darkest abyss. To think one sentence would set them off. He thought, turning around. But that just makes me want to fight them all the more. I bet you're feeling the same way, cousin. He thought, looking towards Siko as she finished filling out the form. His eyes, they turned red. Is it a Kekii Genkai? No, the only one with red eyes in Konoha is the Sharingan, and that has black tomo in them. His was just red with a slit. She felt Katsu and Shido stand next to her as she turned around and leaned against the tree. She looked over and saw Naruto standing next to his female team member on his right and the Uchiha on his left, reading over his form to make sure everything was correct. Sasuke watched as they put up a curtain around the desk that had been set up. I see. So you can't tell which team gets what scroll, or even who on the team will be carrying it. Just as Ibiki said. We'll be fighting and risking our lives for this information. He looked over to Sakura to see her a little nervous and shook his head. He turned to Naruto to see a blank expression on his face. What wrong with him? He thought. At this moment Naruto was pissed. No, beyond pissed. He was so angry he couldn't come up with the right word to describe how pissed he was. That one line brought up a whole lot of bad memories that he did not want to remember, most being violent. He looked at Shido with a glare. If he was anywhere else he would have been dead either by Naruto's hand or Shurso. Naruto turned and saw his brother glancing at him as though expecting him to do something. Shurso was always better at holding his emotions in. Naruto thought. He reached into his pocket and started to finger a necklace that Shurso gave him a few years ago. He came out of his trance when he heard Anko talk. All right, it's about time to exchange for the scrolls, shouted one of the proctors. In groups of 3, each team moved towards the desk to turn in their release forms and retrieve their scrolls. I can't help but wonder how many of the teams will actually make it. Anko checked her watch. Once you've received your scrolls, follow an instructor to your gate of entry. We'll start in 30 minutes. All right. Kiba shouted. As his team arrived at gate 16, this sort of thing is our specialty. He then noticed Shurso seemed out of it. Hey Shurso, you okay? He asked. Yeah, I'm fine. Just thinking. He replied. You shouldn't worry about your brother. He will pass. Shino said. I know. He said. But that doesn't stop the feeling that something bad is going to happen to his team. Shurso thought. At gate 27, this sucks. But I guess we'll have to do this troublesome exercise, complained Shikamaru. Normally, I'd say we go after Naruto's team, but after what we've seen today, he's come farther than any of the rest of us. Not to mention Sasuke definitely isn't a slouch either. The only one we don't really know about is Sakura. But since Naruto's a lot stronger than he used to be, it stands to chance that she is too, Shikamaru said to Ino and Chuji. Hey, which one should I have? Asked Chuji, rustling through his pack looking at each bag of chips. Baka! Ino shouted as she bonked him on the head. Pay attention. At gate 23, So what's the plan? Katsu asked Siko. Why are you asking me? You usually come up with the plans. She replied. Even if I do, we usually wind up using your plan after hearing mine. So I thought to just skip the process. Katsu said. But that isn't why you're asking me. Siko replied. As fast as ever I see. So are we going after Naruto's team in the forest? He asked. Why would you want to? She asked him. Well, I would rather fight Shurso in the next exam, so all it leaves is Naruto. He said. I say we take him out in the forest. Shido said with an evil smirk. I want to fight him in the next exam too, so we'll avoid him for now. Seiho said, ignoring Shido's comment. Fine with me, but if I wind up fighting him, just to say no hard feelings. He said. If you don't kill him, there will be none. Siko said emotionlessly. That's hard to guarantee. He said with an evil smirk. Siko merely looked at him and turned back to the forest. They are ignoring me. He thought, clutching his fist tightly. Over at gate 12. Finally we are starting. Naruto said excitedly. Shinaro. Inner Sakura agreed with Naruto, while Sakura merely smiled and Sasuke gave his trademark confident smirk. From a nearby loudspeaker, Anko's voice was heard at each gate. The second exam of the Chunin selection exam begins now. After she said this, a loud horn sounded and each of the gates opened. The team walked into the forest, and after a few minutes a sudden scream stopped them in their tracks. That was fast. Naruto said. That looks like it started, stated Sasuke. I'm a little nervous, said Sakura. We should probably speed up before all the scrolls are taken, Naruto said. Sakura and Sasuke nodded and they jumped to the trees. After 10 minutes of leaping from the trees, Team 7 stopped and landed in the clearing. So anyone got a plan? Naruto asked. They both looked at him before going deep into thought. After a few minutes, Sasuke looked up. We should head to the tower. Everyone else will be headed there, so we have a better chance of finding someone with an earth scroll than to just go looking around, Sasuke said. Great idea, Sasuke-kun, Sakura shrieked. That isn't that complicated. But what else to expect? Naruto thought. Your plan sucks, Naruto said. Naruto, shut up. You're just mad you didn't think of it, Sakura said. Bitch, Naruto thought. We will stick to, look out, Sasuke said, grabbing Sakura and jumping out the way. Naruto jumped back quickly as a dozen of kunai came raining down on them. When they landed, they turned quickly to the direction of where the kunai came from. They saw Genin from grass. She has long black hair and is wearing beige shirt and blue pants. Coo. Look what we have here. An Uchiha, Haruno, and an Uzumaki. It must be my lucky day, she said. Lucky day? Yeah, right, you're going to get your ass kicked, Naruto said, recognizing the girl. Really now? She said with an amused smile on her face. She reached into her kunai pouch and brought out a brown scroll with the kanji for earth on it. Hey, she got the earth scroll, Sakura said. Sasuke smirked arrogantly as he looked at her. How about you hand that over and you will leave here alive? Sasuke said smugly. Coo, if you want it, come take it from me, she said, opening her mouth. She put the scroll in her mouth and swallowed it. You! That is gross. I don't even want that scroll anymore, Naruto said with a disgusted look on his face. Sakura and Sasuke nodded as they stared at the grass ninja. Let's see what you got, she said, pulling down the skin under her right eye. Suddenly all three of them were hit with intense killing intent. Team 7 saw various flashes of their own deaths splayed right before their very eyes. Blood was everywhere, kunai embedded into their foreheads, bodies mutilated until they were just barely recognizable. All three of them looked in shock, frozen at what they just saw. Two of them out of fear while the other out of shock. They started to shake as they stared at her. A genin should not be able to do that, Naruto thought as he recovered from the jutsu. The grass ninja looked at Naruto as he stopped shaking, her smirk getting wider. You are very interesting, Uzumaki Naruto. How about we play? She said. Fine with me, Naruto said, smirking. He walked in front of his team and made a T-like sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he said. 3 clones appeared in a puff of smoke. 2 quickly grabbed Sakura and Sasuke and leap off into the trees, with the other one heading into the forest after them. Sasuke tried to protest but couldn't due to the affects of the jutsu. Naruto turned serious as he looked at the nin. Just who the fuck are you? Naruto said. It seems you realized I'm not a genin Uzumaki Naruto, or should I say your real name? Namikaze Naruto, son of the 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato, and Uchiha Hyzai, the strongest Uchiha that generation since Itachi. Too bad you haven't activated the Sharingan. You might have been a great container. I repeat, who are you? Naruto asked, spreading his legs with his left arm limp in front of him and his right hand on the katana on his back. I'm Orochimaru of the legendary Sannin, she said with her voice changing into a masculine one and her pulling down her face. Yellow eyes locked with Naruto's narrowed blue eyes. What are you doing here then, Snake Team? Naruto asked in a dangerous tone even though he knew he didn't stand a chance. I would so love to take your body, Naruto-kun, but since you're useless right now, I'd rather not. I'll just take your older brother, after all he is much more powerful than you, he said smirking. I will not let you near my brother. Naruto snarled angrily. He ran at Orochimaru while reeling his fist back. Naruto threw a punch when he reached Orochimaru just to have it blocked. Orochimaru punched Naruto away. He watched Naruto hit a tree before hearing a burning sound. He looked down, seeing a kunai with an explosive tag on it, and jumped away as it exploded. Naruto landed on the ground, drawing his sword and holding it slanted in front of him. The stainless steel shone brightly, reflecting the sun's rays of the blade. He saw the dust disappear, revealing Orochimaru, who was farther away from the blast area. Kakuku, you're a pest, he said, laughing. He bit his thumb and did a few hand seals. Kuchios no Jutsu. A giant brown snake appeared underneath Orochimaru. Eat him, he said. The snake looked its eyes on Naruto and quickly dived towards him with its jaw open. Naruto simply smirked as he added chakra to his sword. Kenkai, chakra no Yaiba, Naruto said. Visible whitish blue chakra engulfed the blade and expanded 40 more inches longer and 10 inches wider. The chakra took on the form of a double-edged sword with the sword as the medium. Naruto held the sword horizontally as the snake came closer. Naruto acted quickly just as the snake reached him. Naruto jumped to the right side, causing the snake to rush into his sword. Just as the sword was in its mouth, Naruto twisted the blade so the edge was pointing upward and the other one was pointing towards the ground. Naruto jumped up, swinging his katana upward. Orochimaru leaped off the snake as the sword sliced through its flesh, cutting its eyes to its upper jaw off the rest of the body. Blood flew into the sky as the chakra blade disappeared. The top part of the snake's head hit the ground with a loud thump, causing dirt to be lifted into the air. Naruto looked around as he descended to the ground. Right when Naruto landed, he doubled over, coughing out blood due to the fist in his stomach. Orochimaru pulled his fist back and brought his right leg upward, kicking Naruto in the face. Naruto flew back into the air and landed face first on the ground. After a few seconds, when Naruto didn't get up, Orochimaru walked towards him. I see. This is all you have to offer, Orochimaru said, stopping right in front of him. Naruto's eyes snapped open as he quickly pushed himself off the ground with his hands. Naruto flipped in the air, aiming to kick Orochimaru. The Sannin leaned back, dodging the attack, and punched the demon container in the middle of his back. Naruto flew back but continued his flip, landing on the ground in a crouch as he slid back. He came to a stop and slanted his sword right in front of him. He didn't get a chance to recover as he heard a shout. Sanaijushu, Orochimaru said as multiple snakes came from his sleeves heading towards Naruto. Naruto quickly brought his sword up while releasing chakra into the air. He gathered the chakra-lashed wind around his sword as he jumped back, dodging the snakes. The snakes turned and headed towards him. He raised his sword overhead, ready to strike. Futon, Kyakudo Rezakaze, Naruto yells, swinging his sword downward. A large gust of wind comes down from his sword, hitting and slicing up the snakes. Blood and snake parts fall to the ground as Naruto lands. He turns quickly, leaning back, dodging a punch. Naruto swings his katana horizontally at Orochimaru's head. He ducks, only getting a few strands of hair cut. Naruto lets up his feet, trying to kick him, only to be blocked. Orochimaru rose quickly, giving Naruto an uppercut, also lifting him into the air. Naruto flew back but recovered, flipping in the air and landing on his feet. Naruto panted as he wiped the blood off his chin as he stared at the smirking snake summoner. Naruto stood up and added chakra to his legs for a burst of speed. Ku, since you favor Kenjutsu, let me draw my blade, he said. Kusanagi no Tsurugi, Ku no Tachi. Orochimaru opened his mouth, and a huge snake head appeared and opened its mouth. It seemed to be spitting out a sword hilt. He grabbed the hilt of the sword and pulled it from the snake's gaping maw as it retreated back into his own mouth. Let's go, Naruto-kun, he said mockingly, ignoring Naruto's disgusted look. Naruto shook off his disgust and suddenly burst forward with incredible speed with his sword pointing to his right side. Naruto swung his blade horizontally only to hear the clang sound of the metal of the two katana colliding. Naruto spun to his left, twisting the blade, and swung it horizontally again. Orochimaru looked on with glee as he blocked other strike. He pushed Naruto's blade back and went on the offensive. Naruto tried to block as many swings as he could, but Orochimaru was just too fast. For every one that he blocked or evaded, he would get cut twice. Soon Naruto was covered with bleeding wounds as he continued to block attacks. Come on, Naruto, you are stronger than this. See his moves, Naruto thought. Orochimaru's strikes started to get clearer to Naruto, but he still wasn't fast enough to block most of them. Naruto had enough and jumped back. He added chakra to his sword again as he landed. Sonic Yaiba, he said, swinging his sword downward. A vertical sonic arc appeared heading straight for Orochimaru. He jumped out of the way, dodging the attack, still smirking. Orochimaru looked upon Naruto, his black shirt that now had several slashes through it showing his bloody chain-mail shirt. Orochimaru ran towards Naruto at a quick pace with his sword positioned for a thrust. Naruto could now pick up most of his movement and jumped to the side, dodging the strike. Once he landed, he ran at him while adding chakra to his sword. Ryu no Mai, Sonic Kata, Naruto said as he reached him. Naruto brought his sword upward, hitting Orochimaru's Kusanagi and pushing Orochimaru into the air. After he was high enough, Naruto jumped after him. Orochimaru saw this and got ready to defend. Naruto started thrusting his sword forward multiple times only for Orochimaru to block them. After 14 thrusts, Naruto then spun in air and hit Orochimaru's sword, causing him to fly towards the ground. Naruto quickly started swinging his sword towards the snake in multiple ways, releasing sonic arcs. After he was done, he dropped to the ground and waited for the dust that was picked up to clear. After a few seconds, he saw through the dust clouds, seeing only mud. Fuck, Naruto thought. He sheathed his sword and did some hand seals as he looked around for the snake. He sensed a presence behind him and jumped forward, though he wasn't quick enough to completely avoid the slash from Orochimaru. Naruto gritted his teeth, trying to block out the pain as he turned around. Katan, Gakakyu no Jutsu, Naruto said, blowing out a huge fireball. The fireball complete engulfed Orochimaru, making him scream out. Naruto stopped the jutsu and looked at what remained. He saw a burned log and quickly turned around, drawing his katana and holding it in a blocking position. Orochimaru swung his sword down at Naruto with a smirk on his face. His Kusanagi cut straight through Naruto's katana as he brought it down. Orochimaru's katana tip hit the ground as blood erupted from the long gash coming from Naruto's collarbone to his waist. What was left of Naruto's sword dropped from his hand, just before Naruto himself fell to the ground. Ku. You did pretty well, Naruto-kun, but not well enough, Orochimaru said as he watched Naruto half-opened eyes. Just then they heard a loud scream that came in the direction of where Sasuke and Sakura was taken. Ah! It seems like my clone is finally done with Sasuke, he said, looking off into the forest. He turned back to Naruto and smirked evilly. Be bastard, Naruto said weakly. Ku. Still have enough energy to insult me, I see. Oh well, time to go after your brother, he said. Orochimaru looked at a tree to his right before laughing evilly and disappeared. After 10 seconds, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke, just the broken remains of his sword behind. Naruto growled from his hiding place behind a tree, knowing that he had been let go. He is holding his wound that was starting to heal with a red glow. Fuck, he not only wounded me but he broke my sword, Naruto thought. If I didn't see my clone here, I might have actually got that full strike. But this is my own fault for letting my anger control me again. Naruto forced himself to stand up and walked from behind the tree. He walked over to the stop where his clone was. He looked at the remains of his katana and shook his head. He turned around to where he heard his team scream. "I'm sorry Aniki B, but you are going to have to fight on your own." Naruto thought weakly. He focused on Sakura's chakra signature and started charging up chakra. "I can't stay here. I must get to my team." He thought he started to move only to fall on something. He blinked before sighing as he was picked up. "Go to my team," he said. The clone under him nodded before dashing quickly. Sakura held on to Sasuke as he held on his neck. "Naruto! Sasuke-kun is..." she yelled, looking for Naruto. "Gwa!" Sasuke screamed. Sakura quickly grabbed him again and held him tightly. Tears fell from her eyes as Sasuke screamed again, then lose consciousness. "What should I do?" she thought. She looked around again before looking at Sasuke. "Where is Naruto?" she thought. "Naruto!" she yelled louder. Shut up. You're too loud. You want an enemy team to hear you?" She heard, seeing Naruto being carried by a clone. She stared at Naruto as his clone walked toward her. "And Naruto. That weird nin did something to Sasuke-kun," she said, sobbing. "We'll talk later. We need to move to someplace safe," Naruto said weakly before passing out. But. Sakura started. "Stop it. You're a ninja, act like one. Sasuke will be fine, just give him time to rest," Naruto's clone said in commanding tone. Sakura stopped as she stared the clone. "You'll have to move him. I have my hands full with boss," he said. Is he okay?" she asked in a shaking tone. "He's fine for now, let's go," he said, and flashback. "What am I going to do?" she asked herself as she tried to stay up. She shook her head and felt Sasuke's head. His breathing is turning back to normal, but he still has a fever. A rustling noise caught her attention, and she quickly drew a kunai. She started to shake as she turned around. She sighed in relief when it was just a squirrel. The squirrel looked at her before running towards her. She looked alarmed as the squirrel came closer. She threw her kunai in front of the squirrel, stopping it. The squirrel, looking terrified, turned and scampered away. Seemingly unknown to the pink-haired kunoichi, a trio of otonins were watching her every move. One with spiky hair turned to the one whose head was wrapped in bandages with the exception of one eye. "Do you think she saw the exploding tag?" he asked in low tones. "She's exhausted, so it's doubtful, but it would be unwise to underestimate her," Saku said, the one eye. "What can a pathetic little girl like that do?" "You worry too much, Dosu," said the brunette girl of the group. "A weak opponent can always take down an overconfident one, no matter how much stronger or more skilled they are, if they allow themselves to lower their guard," reprimanded Dosu. "Whatever, I say we toss aside the little girl and dispose of the Uchiha like Orochimaru-sama ordered us to," the girl replied. "All in good time, have patience, kin," Dosu told her. "Why? They're weak and she's tired, the timing couldn't be any more perfect," snapped Zaku. "And that's why I'm the leader, Baka," Dosu snapped back. "Go charging in there, and whatever traps she may have set that you blatantly ignored will cut you down in moments. Worry not, we shall make our move soon enough. As you said before, the other two are weak and she's exhausted, they aren't going anywhere from quite some time." Meanwhile, Harino Sakura was nodding off on watch, her emerald eyes slowly drooping lower and lower. She had nearly passed out from pure exhaustion when a chuckle and a cold voice sliced through the air. "Not sleeping and keeping watch all this time? That can't be healthy." Sakura gasped and jumped a bit in surprise. She quickly spun around and saw the otonins that had attacked Naruto before the written exam. "Wake up, Sasuke-kun," the one-eyed nin ordered Sakura. "We want to fight him." "What do you mean? Why are you attacking us?" she demanded, her hand shakily reaching for a kunai. "Is Orochimaru behind this?" None of the three nins could hide their surprise. "So he is behind this. What's with the strange mark on Sasuke-kun's neck? You still want to fight him, even after all that has been done to him?" she asked scathingly. "Well then, with her talking down to us like that, we just can't ignore it now, can we?" the spiky-haired one asked with a confident smirk. "I'll kill both the weakling girl and that Sasuke guy." As he stood up, Sakura tensed, ready to defend her boys from the Otonines, though as long as she'd been awake she truly wasn't in any condition to fight. Wait, Zaku ordered the Cyclops. Why? Zaku inquired. The Cyclops didn't answer, he merely took a few steps forward. How completely unoriginal, he sarcastically scolded Sakura. The color of the dirt indicates that it was recently dug up. Some of this grass doesn't even grow here. Sakura flinched as the one-eyed Nin revealed her trap. There's no point to a trap, if it wasn't well made. Zaku laughed behind him. Ah, so she threw the kunai to keep the squirrel from setting off the trap. Let's kill her quickly, the leader suggested as he, Zaku and the female Nin jumped into the air, over Sakura's trap. Sakura smirked, and drew a kunai cutting a nearby string, setting off a second trap. The Cyclops looked up. A log. So this was the real trap. No use. He placed his hand out, and as he touched the log he made a one-handed seal and the log exploded into pieces. Easy, no talent whatsoever. Sakura's eyes widened as the three Otonines drew closer. She stood ready on her feet, her entire body shaking with exhaustion, determined to protect her teammates. Konoha de Zenpu! Came an excited shout. A spinning green blur knocked all three off of their trajectory path. Sakura closed her eyes instinctively. When she opened them again she was greeted with the sight of Rock Lee standing in between herself and the Otonines taking his Goken stance. You three obviously do not have much talent either. You will have to work much harder. Who are you? Demanded the one-eyed Nin. I am Konoha's beautiful blue beast, Lee said with a determined look on his face, never once taking his gaze off of his new opponents. Rock Lee, what are you doing here? Asked Sakura. I shall appear any time you are in danger, Lee answered. Sakura looked confused. But you are our enemy, she said, taking a quick glance at where Naruto and Sasuke lay. I told you before, Lee explained, I shall protect you to the death. Thank you, she whispered. It appears we have no other choice, said the one-eyed Nin as he pulled out an earth scroll. Zaku, I leave Sasuke-kun to you. I'll take care of these two. He then threw the scroll at Zaku before he pulled his sleeve up, revealing a metal bracer that ran from his wrist to his elbow with various holes in it, and charged. Sakura threw a kunai at him, which he dodged as Rock Lee punched the ground and pulled a huge clump of earth from out of the ground. I can tell there is some sort of trick to your attack, but I will not fall victim to it, said Rock Lee as the Cyclops looked surprised at the boy's intuitiveness and strength. They stood there staring at each other when Lee began to unwrap his bandages. Sakura instantly recognized what he was doing, as she had seen Lee almost do the same thing to Sasuke. The Otonin charged Lee again. He disappeared. The one-eyed Nin said as his eye widened. Kage-bio, Lee said, kicking him into the air. Lee then appeared behind him. I'm not done yet. The Otonin began to panic and struggle as Lee's bandages began to bind him. They began to descend, head first, to the ground. Not good. He can't break his fall like that, shouted Zaku. He then started doing hand seals. Take this, shouted Lee. Omote Renge. Zaku put his hands to the ground as Lee slammed the leader Otonin into the ground. Just in time, he said with a cocky smile. The leader then got up from the small crater Rock Lee left him in. No way, Lee shouted. Such a terrifying move, said the Cyclops Otonin, dazed. Even though I landed in the soft ground, it still hurt like hell. My turn, he said, pulling up his sleeve. He charged Lee, but did not land a blow. Lee, however, was still affected. Lee-san, shouted Sakura, you're definitely fast on your feet, but even you can't outrun my attack, said Dosu confidently. The speed of sound is far greater than you can hope to imagine. You can't get everything through hard work. Lee dropped to his knees. He tried to stand, but was unsuccessful, and as soon as he did, he slumped back down and had thrown up as his ear began to bleed. Dodging will not help you avoid my attacks. Even though you dodged my fist, the sound still affected you, he said with a small chuckle. Tell me, what is sound? Vibrations, answered Sakura automatically. Exactly, he said. When you hear something, your eardrums pick up on the vibrations of a sound. The eardrums will shatter at anything over 150 decibels. It also goes without saying that a person will also lose their sense of balance. The Cyclops chuckled. It will be quite some time before you're able to move. That's right, simple taijutsu is ineffective against us, gloated Zaku. It may have gotten a few lucky shots in for a while, but it is nothing compared to our techniques. From here on, things won't be the smooth ride you thought it would be. I control supersonic waves and air pressure. I'm even capable of destroying rocks and boulders. As you can see, I can also send air waves through the ground, softening it, making it a cushion. It's far different from anything you'll be able to come up with, Kyuso, thought Lee. Your next little girl. The leader shouted, running past Lee, straight for Sakura. Sakura was shocked from the shift in the attack that she didn't have time to counter, not that she could do so effectively in her state of exhaustion. What? Lee-san! Shouted Sakura as Lee suddenly appeared between them. Konoha de Zenpu! Shouted Lee, but he was unable to complete his attack as the Otonin caught his leg. Looks like my last attack is still affecting you. You caught me off guard, but you still couldn't complete your combo, he said as he swung a fist to Lee. Rock Lee blocked the attack. My arm amplifies sound that is generated inside of it like a speaker. Through use of my chakra, I can redirect the direction in which the sound waves travel and still hit my target, he said. Lee screamed in pain as Sakura called his name again. All that's left is to finish you off. I won't let you! Shouted Sakura as she threw multiple kunai at Lee's opponent, which were blocked by the sound amplifier on his arm. I can still fight, she said. Sakura then threw multiple shuriken at him only to have them intercepted by a small wave of air pressure from his spiky-haired comrade. Sakura was then knocked off her feet when the third Otonin grabbed a handful of her hair. Your hair is far glossier than mine, she said to Sakura. You should train more if you have time to take care of your hair that good. Trying to look all sexy for the boys. Zaku, kill that Sasuke kid in front of this wench. Gladly, he replied. I won't let you, Sakura said through clenched teeth. She stifled a grunt of pain as the brunette pulled her hair harder to hold her back. Shut up and don't move, she ordered Sakura. Zaku smirked. Let's do this then. He strutted confidently over to where Sasuke and Naruto lay. Sakura drew a kunai. What's the point of that? You can't attack me from where you are, the Oto Kunoichi told her. Sakura turned her head towards the other kunoichi as best she could. I won't be the one being protected this time. Much to everyone's shock, Sakura then took the kunai and sliced a good portion of her long hair off. They always fought to protect me, Sasuke, Naruto, even Lee. They've fought with everything they could to do so. But this time I won't be a burden, she said, standing up. I will protect them with everything I have. Sakura's eyes took on a hardened glint that had never been seen in her soft emerald eyes, giving them a sort of unseen glow in them. She seemed to be channeling Naruto in that brief moment. Sakura, Lee said as he struggled, in vain, to pull himself off the ground. Kin, kill her! Zaku shouted as Sakura started doing hand seals. The female Otonin, Kin, charged Sakura, stabbing her in the back, only to find herself stabbing a log with her kunai. Kawarimi! Kin shouted in surprise. Kin, stay back! Shouted Zaku as Sakura reappeared, charging at him. She then threw various kunai and shuriken at him. Zankaha! He pointed both hands towards the Konoha kunoichi. Her throwing weapons were reflected back at her, and she crossed her arms to block the attack as she disappeared in another puff of smoke. The log she replaced herself was warped from Zaku's attack, as well as having been struck with a large number of her own weapons. It's still not going to work, he told the girl as she appeared above him. He threw some kunai at her, and then looked around to where she would reappear next, only to find her still descending upon him with a kunai stuck in her left arm and another in her right leg. Shit! She stabbed the kunai deep into his flesh, but he managed to block with, so she only injured his arm. Kyuso! Zaku shouted as he kicked her off of him. She grabbed onto him, viciously attacking, clawing at the Otonin's face, and even going as far as to bite him. Zaku became enraged and started to viciously pummel the pink-haired kunoichi. I'll kill you, he said right before a particularly vicious punch. Her face was bloody, cut, and bruised in various places. She pulled another kunai to stab the shinobi again, but he managed to catch her wrist and redirected her arm, thrusting the kunai into the ground. He rolled on top of her, intent on killing her. I will not let you harm them, she shouted as she flipped him over her head. She rolled onto her stomach and tried to stand only to find herself too exhausted. Kyuso! She cursed. Exhaustion was taking over, the adrenaline rush she felt coming on slowly fading. Zaku got up, pulling the kunai from his arm and doing as few hand seals. Before he could complete the sequence, she charged him again, slamming into him hard. Before she could move, Kin kicked her in the side of the head, knocking her towards Sasuke and Naruto. I will protect them, she shouted defiantly. Ha! You can barely move, what makes you think you can keep me from killing each one of them right in front of you one by one? Taunted Zaku. Say your prayers, bitch, as he ran through his hand seals again, ready to finish her off, when 3 others appeared in front of Sakura. Under other circumstances, Sakura would hate who had come to her rescue, but at this point she couldn't have been happier. Ino, I just couldn't let you have all the fun, replied Ino. Besides, I can't just let you win over Sasuke-kun by letting you play the heroine, and you and Naruto still owe me an explanation. They're like cockroaches, commented the leading Otonin. Just what the hell were you two thinking, just interfering in a fight like this? Chuji yelled at Shikamaru and Ino. Troublesome as it is. It's even more troublesome if we don't help them out, Shikamaru said lazily. Since Ino decided to step in, we, as men, just can't run away. Besides, we're a 3-man team, replied Ino. There isn't anything we can't do together. But I'm not ready to die just yet, Chuji pleaded as he tried to get away, only to be held in place by Shikamaru. Shut up. We can't help that now, shouted Shikamaru. Zaku laughed at the big-boned guy's actions. Go ahead and run if you'd like, fatty. Both Ino and Shikamaru gasped and took a step back, the latter instantly letting go of Chuji's scarf, as if he had been burned. Chuji, on the other hand, stopped trying to run. What did he say? Chuji asked in a menacing low whisper. I'm not sure I heard him correctly. I said you can go jack off in the woods for all I care, fat ass, shouted Zaku. I'm not fat. I'm big-boned, shouted Chuji, turning around abruptly. Now it's a fight for honor of Konoha and big-boned people everywhere. Hooray for big-boned people, Ino smirked. Now you've made him angry. Troublesome, said the Nara, shaking his head. Sakura, Ino said suddenly, take care of those two, all right. The Ino Shikacho team is going to fight with everything we have. Baika no Jutsu, shouted Chuji as he ballooned out to an incredible size. Nikuden Sensha. Chuji's limbs and head receded into the big-boned guy's body as jets of steam streamed out from where each appendage disappeared to. He then began to spin at a very rapid velocity. What the hell? Zaku said, placing his hands out in front of him. Zankaha, he shouted, streams of air slamming straight into Chuji's gargantuan body. They were at a standstill until Zaku got frustrated and put more power into his jutsu. Chuji then shot up into the air only to start rapidly descending on the spiky-haired Otonin. Kyuso, because of his spinning, my jutsu is ineffective. The leader saw Zaku's predicament and ran to save his partner. Shikamaru decided to step in at this point. I don't think so. Kagemain no Jutsu. The Naro boy's shadow lanced out to capture the Otonin's shadow, holding him in place. Kagemain's success. Meanwhile, Zaku was just barely able to dodge Chuji's attack. Dosa! What the hell are you doing? Shouted Kin when she saw him not doing anything. Ino, take care of the woman, ordered Shikamaru. No problem, Shika, replied Ino, just take care of my body. Shintenshin no Jutsu. Shikamaru caught Ino as she slumped to the ground. Chuji had Zaku boxed in with no escape in sight. Kin! What are you doing? Shouted Zaku. What's wrong? Asked Dosu. Kin/Ino then held a kunai to her throat. This is it. If you move, she's dead. Unless you want us to do lasting harm to you guys, you'd better drop your scroll and go, she ordered them. Once we feel that you're a good distance away, we'll then release her. Zaku's response was to attack his teammate. Chuji! Shouted Kin/Ino. Chuji intercepted the attack, taking the brunt of the damage, but Kin was sent flying back into the tree behind her. Ino's body started bleeding. Ino! Shouted Shikamaru. Chuji had returned to his normal size. His attack expired and he was in no condition to continue the fight. What the hell? They attacked their own teammate, Kin/Ino said as she got up. You took us far too lightly, said Zaku smirking. Our purpose is not some dumb scroll or to even make it through the exam, added Dosu. It's Sasuke-kun. Shikamaru's shadow then receded back to him, releasing Dosu. Ah, I see your jutsu has a set time limit, observed the newly freed Dosu, and the girl's jutsu. Judging from the blood, if we kill Kin, she dies as well. You'd kill your own teammate? Asked Shikamaru, surprised. If we have to, said Zaku, raising his head towards Kin. I have to admit though, you almost had us. However, you let your guard down, Dosu informed them. Disgusting, said another voice, one Sakura remembered as the pale-eyed kid who had confronted Sasuke the day before the second exam started, Hyuga Niji, the teammate of the girl Naruto trained with, and Rock Lee. Simple Otonins waving around their victory by beating a bunch of second-rate shinobi like them. Lee! Shouted the girl, Ten, if Sakura remembered correctly. Looks like he underestimated them, said Niji, seemingly unconcerned for his teammate who was currently unconscious. Where do they keep coming from? Asked Zaku. They're like pesky bugs you just can't get rid of. The kid in green is our teammate, and it looks like you went just a little too far, replied Niji as his pale lavender eyes turned white and the veins around his eye bulged, intimidating everyone in the area who was conscious, with the exception of Ten. Niji then turned his head in surprise as he felt a huge chakra spike. Niji? Asked Ten. Quit showing off and fight us, demanded Dosu. Niji smirked. It looks like I'll no longer have to. That's when everyone else felt it. A sickly, powerful aura saturated the air around them as Sasuke was doused in purple chakra. He abruptly stood up. Sasuke-kun! You're awake! Sakura said excitedly before becoming afraid. As Sasuke slowly stood, the purple chakra swirled around him. That's Sasuke-kun, said Kin/Ino, afraid of what had become of her longtime crush. Mysterious markings now ran down the Uchiha's left arm and the left side of his face. Only Niji seemed unafraid of the new transformation. Sakura. Who did that to you? The curse seal. Dosu gasped. Sasuke-kun. Those markings. Sakura began before being interrupted by Sasuke. Don't worry, I can feel the power surging inside of me, said Sasuke confidently. I'm stronger than I was before, and it's all because of him. I'm an Avenger. I will gain power by any means necessary, even at the cost of my own soul. I see. Dosu observed. The markings she mentioned earlier was Orochimaru-sama's own curse seal. I can't believe he was able to survive. Who's Sakura? Who did this to you? Sasuke demanded angrily. We did, said Zaku proudly. Sasuke turned his gaze towards the Otonin, his two Tomo Sharingan spinning wildly. Ino, get out of there! Shouted Shikamaru. The blonde Kunoichi immediately complied as Kin's body slumped to the ground. Chuji, hide, now! Shikamaru, what's going on? Asked Chuji. I don't know, he answered. Sasuke's markings spread to cover his entire body. This is too much for us, we must leave now, said Dosu to Zaku. Whatever. He was half dead just a few minutes ago, said Zaku, going through some hand seals. Zaku, stop. You don't understand. I'll kill them all, shouted Zaku. Zankukyakua. Everyone had to cover their faces as Zaku's jutsu struck Sasuke. Blown to pieces. Who was? Asked someone from behind Zaku. His eyes widened in realization as he was knocked off his feet across the clearing. Zaku! Shouted Dosu. So fast, even when carrying her. He thought as Sasuke started some seals. Katan, Hozenka no Jutsu. Several fireballs were streaming at Zaku. Too easy. Zankaha! He shouted, overpowering the fireballs. Unfortunately for him, there were shuriken within the fireballs and Zaku found himself getting sliced up pretty good, though he wasn't struck in any vital area. Before anyone could say or do anything, Zaku found himself doubled over, Sasuke's foot in the center of his back, his arms behind held fast behind him, by the Uchiha. This can't be Sasuke-kun, Ino said in denial. What's happened to him? Sasuke smirked. You seem awfully proud of these arms. He began to apply pressure. The bones in Zaku's arms began to crack and break. Stop. Stop it, please. Saki yelled out in pain. Sasuke began to pull harder, as Zaku's screams became more frequent, until there was finally 2 loud snaps of Sasuke crippling Zaku's arms. Sasuke then kicked Zaku down to the ground like common trash before turning towards Dosu. I guess it's only you left. You had better be much more entertainment than the other guy, said Sasuke, still smirking sinisterly at the shaking Dosu. Sasuke-kun! Stop! Sakura finally yelled out, embracing the Uchiha in a full hug, tears streaming down her face. Stop, please. Sasuke glared at her for a moment before the markings receded. Ino had never been more afraid in her entire life, save for the mysterious energy she had felt 3 days prior. Sasuke then collapsed to his knees and then moved to a sitting position, breathing heavily. You're strong, we cannot defeat you at this time, said Dosu, their team's scroll now in his hand as he had taken it back from Zaku. How about you just let us go? For now, he said, putting down the scroll slowly. I must check on some things first, but I promise you, should we face each other once more, I promise we will neither run nor hide. He said, moving over to pick up Zaku. He went over to Kin and picked her up also. Wait! What has Orochimaru done to Sasuke-kun? Demanded Sakura. And why Sasuke-kun? I do not know, we were ordered to kill him, said Dosu. He then left with his teammates. Hey, you guys alright? Asked Chuji to Sakura and Sasuke. Troublesome. Ino, take care of that Lee guy. Ordered Shikamaru as he and Chuji made their way over to Sakura and Sasuke. Such abnormal chakra. This strange power is far beyond my knowledge, thought Niji, observing everything from above. Where's Naruto? Shikamaru asked, looking around. Naruto glared hard at Sasuke from his stop high upon the tree. So that is what Orochimaru wanted with him, and sure so. Too bad for him, sure so is already in the tower, Naruto thought, feeling his brother's chakra. Naruto released his chakra that glued him to the tree and fell. Naruto landed with only a little bit of noise. That bit of noise alarmed everyone to his presence except for Niji, who saw him fall. Everyone looked at his torn and blood-soaked shirt and bandages under it as he walked over. Naruto, what happened to you? Shikamaru asked. I got into a fight with a snake, Naruto replied simply. He went over and retrieved the scroll that was on the ground and put it in his pouch. Naruto turned to Team 10 as they stared at him. I guess I should thank you for helping my team, Naruto said. You should do more than thank us, Ino said. Well, I can't give you anything else at the moment, Naruto said. So thank you? Naruto moved over to Sakura and brought out a cloth and some water. Here, use this to clean up your face, Naruto said. She looked at them and took them with a small thanks. Wait a second. How long were you up? And come you didn't help? Ino yelled. Naruto glared at her for a second before standing up. I was up from the time Sasuke got up. It didn't look like he needed my help, so I didn't, Naruto replied. Ino just grumbled as she went over to pick Lee up. Tenten, wake Lee and let's go. There is no reason for us to remain here, Niji said coldly. She nodded and jumped down from the spot on the tree. She walked to Ino and smiled. I'll take it from here, she said. She grabbed Lee from Ino's grasp and started to shake him back and forth. Snap out of it, Lee, she yelled. When his eyes opened, she let him drop on his knees. Tenten, why are you here? He asked. We came to save you, Tenten replied. Hey, where did those Otonin go? Lee asked, looking around. That Sasuke kid drove them off, she replied. I see, he said, looking at Sasuke. Why did you break the plan and act alone? Plus you were all beaten up. Tenten scolded him. Sakura-san was in trouble, and as a man, Lee said. If he was alone, Lee would have never lost, Tenten thought. You are such an idiot, Tenten said. Can't argue with you there, Lee said. Hey, Lee-san, shouted Sakura. Yes, Sakura-san, said Lee. Thank you for helping me, she said sincerely. I wouldn't have lasted that long without you. You are welcome, Sakura-san, said Lee. Sasuke-kun. Sasuke looked at Lee questioningly. You truly live up to the Uchiha name. You were able to drive back those Otonin, while I lost horribly. Sasuke looked shocked at this information as Lee had handed him his own ass not but 4 days prior. Sakura-san, the lotus in Konoha blooms twice. Next time we meet, I promise I will be much stronger than I am now. Hey, Sakura, let me fix your hair, said Ino, walking up to her former best friend. Sakura looked Ino over, as if judging her intentions. Finding them genuine, she said goodbye to Lee and walked over to Ino. Lee left with his team quickly, leaving the two teams alone. As Sakura had her hair fixed, Naruto turned to Sasuke. Sasuke, I suggest you don't use that power again, Naruto said with a serious tone. And if I do? Sasuke said, smirking. Naruto just looked at him, sending a message that he didn't get. Naruto turned back to Sakura, who was talking to Ino while she was cutting her hair. After they are finished, we'll wait until we have rested until we go to the tower, Naruto said. We only have one scroll. Orochimaru burned the one I had, Sasuke said. What the fuck do you mean he burned our scroll? Naruto yelled out. Everyone looked at him while he glared at Sasuke. In a different part of the forest. I can't believe this. We've been out here for a day and we have found no one, Shido said. Katsu and Siko ignored him as they looked ahead. They are still ignoring me, he thought. Siko and Katsu suddenly stopped, making Shido bump into Siko. He fell back, hitting the ground, and looked up at her, seeing she didn't even budge. Siko didn't even look at him as she stared at the Takinins that had just appeared. Hand over your scroll and we'll let you go, the leader said as Shido stood up. Shall I take care of this? Katsu asked Siko. She shook her and looked at him. I'll do it. It'll be faster this way, she said, looking back to the three Nin. You think you could take us? Well, just try, the one next to him said. Siko started to walk towards them with her hand on her sword and pull it out a few inches. Each of the Nin got into their stance. They saw her disappear and reappear right in the same spot, pushing the sword back into the sheath. What's just, arg? He said, falling to pieces, his teammates joining him a second afterward. At least it was quick, Katsu said, walking towards the bodies. After he got there, he went into each their pouches until he found a heaven scroll. Lucky us. We got what we need, he said, standing up. Then let us go. I don't feel like staying here any longer, Siko said. He nodded and all three of them jumped into the trees, heading for the tower. A few days later, on the fifth day, Naruto and his team found themselves standing with the group of the people who passed the test. Naruto was angry again. Why, you might ask? Well, because again somebody showed him how much he sucks at seeing through genjutsu. He hated being proven wrong, and he had just been proven wrong not once, not twice, but 3 times during the same battle. Damn, Miss Nin. Now I have to pay Shirso for that bet we made, Naruto thought. Naruto eyed the Jounins and various exam proctors as they appeared in the room. Welcome and congratulations on passing the second exam, Anko said, and stepped back as Sandaime prepared to speak. All of the Genins turned to face the aged Hokage. Let me explain to you the true purpose of this test, Sandaime said. True purpose? Kiba asked. Sandaime nodded and continued. This exam, the Chunin exam, is to show of a village's power to potential customers. If a village shows it has lots of talented and strong ninjas, then missions will increase for that village. Also, instead of killing each other, the ninja villages compete under these exams, keeping relations and allies, as well as showing off their power to enemies, keeping them from attacking. Likewise, if a village's representatives, the Genins in this exam, show that it is weaker, missions will decrease and the threat of invasion is greater. Therefore, it is very important that you take these exams very seriously. The next stage will be one-on-one fighting, where daimyos and other important people will come to see you fight. The selection on who becomes Chunin is made by several judges among those important people. A special Jounin then jumped in front of Sandaime, kneeling in front of him. Sandaime-sama, allow me to explain. The special Jounin named Gecko Hate requested before Sarutobi nodded to him. Thank you, sir. The man stood up and turned around, revealing a man with dark hair running down the sides of his face, covered by a Konoha head bandana. He wore traditional Konoha shinobi garb. Everyone could tell he was sick from his looks. His eyes had some bags and he looked pale. Cough cough. Good to meet you all. I'm Gecko Hate. Before we start the exam, I have to ask you to do something for me. He met confused looks. You see, there are some preliminaries for the exam, and whether you proceed to the main exam is contingent on how well you manage in the preliminaries. Preliminaries? Everyone asked out loud. Why? That's not fair. Why can't we all just proceed? What's going on? Well, you see, it's not like the first 2 exams weren't difficult enough, but the truth is, there are still too many applicants to proceed directly to the 3rd exam. Cough. Is there a reason all of us can't proceed? Shurso asked. There is. Under the traditional rules of the 3rd exam, we have to have preliminary exams to reduce the number of applicants who will proceed if the final exam. That's not the answer to what was asked. What is? Sasuke demanded impatiently. Hokage-sama said it himself. There will be a large number of honorable guests observing you applicants in the final exam. We can't have too many applicants slowing it down. Only the best of you will get past this stage, providing a fast, tight, and intense finale. I see. Shurso said to himself, analyzing the situation. So anyway, not that you all have somewhat of an idea as to what's going on, anyone who doesn't wish to participate in the preliminaries, please take one step forward, because the preliminaries for the 3rd exam begins now. What? Now? Why now? Well, see you later, everyone. Kabuto gave a small salute, and started walking. Naruto stared at him weirdly but didn't really care. Let me see, you're Yakushi Kabuto of Konoha? He checked his list and made a stroke with his pencil. Okay. You can go. Feel free to watch the competition. He paused, before remembering something. In case I forgot to add cough cough, from here on out, you fight individually, not as team. From now on, you can make your own decisions without affecting your comrades. So, cough, does anyone else want to back out? Enko referred to her notepad for Kabuto's biography. Wow. Talk about déjà vu. According to the data, he's already failed 6 times, and I believe each time reaching the same point before dropping out and observing the matches. I wonder what he could be thinking. The Hokage looked interested about this coincidence. Just what is his record? Well, nothing major worth mentioning. He was an average student with average grades. He actually had to test 3 times to graduate. Since then, he's had 2 C-rank missions and 14 D-rank missions. There's no major achievements on record, and nothing else worth mentioning, except... Please continue. Something happened before he even entered the academy. This caught the Hokage's attention. Remember the tale about a young boy brought back from the battle at Kikyo Pass years ago? Yes, I remember. The story about a Jonin ninja of the medical squad took in an enemy child who survived the battle. And that boy is that child, correct? If I'm not mistaken. Sasuke watched Kabuto leave, before feeling the mark on his neck pulse, sending a wave of pain through his body. Damn. Another one. Their frequency is increasing. Ugh. Sakura noticed Sasuke grabbing his neck and almost instantly deduced the cause. It's still hurting him. Why? Hate decided the silence had lasted too long and spoke up. Cough. So, is anyone else dropping out? Or can we continue with the exam? Sakura couldn't take it anymore. Sasuke-kun, maybe you should quit too. Naruto stared at Sasuke. Even though they were teammates, Naruto wouldn't say anything. It was his choice and all the repercussions would go to someone else. Ever since we encountered Orochimaru, you haven't been acting normally. It's got to do with that mark, I know it. It'll just keep getting worse if you don't get help. Please. Sakura was crying now, trying to wipe them away. You're in no shape to fight, Sasuke-kun. Shut up, Sasuke-kun, it's no use denying it. You've barely been able to contain the pain up till now. I told you to dash. You're not giving me a choice. If you won't listen to reason, then I'll tell all the proctors about the mark. Then you dash. Sakura tried to raise her arm to tell the proctors, but Sasuke grabbed her wrist before it rose a foot. Sasuke gave her a serious stare, keeping her silent. Shut up. Not a word to anyone about the mark. Sakura stared at him, fresh tears forming in her emerald eyes. Why, Sasuke-kun, why do you always have to be so strong? I can't stand it, just standing here and watching you suffer. Sasuke let go of her wrist, while keeping his right arm on the mark. It's my own decision. Don't concern yourself with my affairs. I must bear this burden alone. He paused, staring into her eyes. Do you remember what I told you in the belt test? He met a confused expression. I am an Avenger. This is no mere test for me. I don't even care if I achieve Chunin or not. I am only here to answer the question, am I strong? I'm here to answer that question by testing myself against the strongest opponents available. Naruto and Sakura were staring, her tears drying. Gaara, Lee, Niji, sure, so the best young ninja are around here for me to test myself against. I won't turn away from the path that leads to my goal, not for your sake, or anyone else's. Naruto couldn't take it anymore. Sasuke, she only cares for you. Besides, that mark will probably cause you to fall if you can't control it. You would. Naruto, you're one of the ones I want to fight. Naruto smirked at him without saying a word. Siko and Shurso looked at the whole exchange with raised eyebrows. What happened to him? They both thought. Meanwhile, the older ninja were discussing Orochimaru. It's as we feared. The curse mark is gaining control, the Hokage observed. Enko, whom also bore a similar mark, spoke to the Hokage. Sir, we need to pull him out of the exam. Quarantine him and place him under an ANBU squad. We don't know what Orochimaru wants with him, and do you really think he'll just allow you to pull him out of the exam? A voice came from behind. They turned around to see Kakashi with what they assumed was a confident look on his face. Remember, he's one of the last remaining members of the Uchiha clan. Enko grew angry at his words. Don't talk nonsense, Kakashi. You don't know what it's like. I'll stop him by force if I have to. If he makes any attempt to mold chakra, the mark will activate and spread throughout his body, infecting him and draining him of his strength. It's a forbidden art which will debilitate his body. It's a miracle he's lasted this long, bearing the pain up until now. Any normal person would be dead by now, Hokage-sama. Sasuke isn't a normal person, Anko. Kakashi rebutted. The Hokage was silent for a moment before speaking his mind. I am also concerned about what Orochimaru said. For now, we shall allow him to proceed, though we will watch for any sign of activity in the curse mark. But Hokage-sama you may relax, Anko. If there is any sign of the curse mark spreading, we shall take the necessary steps to restrain him. Hibiki turned his head and met the Hokage's gaze. Yes, Hokage-sama, I want you to head to the ANBU headquarters and get 3 squads of ANBU's top strategists gathered and plan for a sweep of the entire Fire Country for Orochimaru. Hokage-sama, isn't that taking it to an extreme? Orochimaru is Konoha's most wanted criminal. He's here for more than just Sasuke, I can assure you of that. We can't take any chances. Plan a search, and return to me before the exam ends. I need to know how long the search will last. I understand, sir. I'll have them get right on it. With that, Ibiki vanished using Shunshin no Jutsu. Hate decided that it was time to begin the exam. Cough cough, well then, we shall now begin the preliminaries. These will consist of individual combat matches, as though this were real combat, though in tournament style. He paused, observing the myriad of emotions expressed on the applicants' faces. There are a total of 20 combatants, and thus we shall hold 10 matches, each one-on-one. And the victors of each match will advance to the final exam. Remember, this is all-out combat. Each pair of combatants will fight until one is either dead or unconscious, or forfeits the match. If an opponent is overpowering you, I advise you to immediately concede if you value your life. However, since we don't want a total bloodbath, there will be times in the matches when I conclude that there is a clear winner and interfere in the match to end it. But don't always assume I'll come to the rescue. Open it. Anko spoke into her headset. Next to the giant hands, a curtain ascended, revealing a blank screen. From here on out, your fate is held on that electronic scoreboard. To decide the matchups, the scoreboard will randomly display the names of 2 combatants, So, not to send you to the butcher early or anything, but we'll be announcing the first 2 names now. The crowd in the tower was silent as they awaited the screen's judgment. Hearts raced, and for minutes it seemed as though it would never end, until the screen lit up. Uchiha Sasuke versus Akado Yoroi. Well, first blood, huh? Sasuke thought. Couldn't ask for more. Yora thought. Sasuke-kun? Already? There's no way he can win in this state. Sasuke. Everyone was staring at Sasuke. From his reputation, they were in for a good fight. Would the combatants whose names have been selected by the board please come forward now? Sasuke and Yoroi stepped forward, and turned to face each other, less than a meter away. Akato Yoroi and Uchiha Sasuke, you two have been selected to compete in the first round of the preliminaries. Are there any objections? He asked. I'm good. None whatsoever. For a few seconds, the two of them engaged in a staring contest, seeing which would break first, leaving everyone else to their thoughts. The only thing I can do now is just watch the match and pray for the best. Sasuke-kun, you better not lose now if you want to fight me later. I expect to see you in the finals, Sasuke. Something's wrong with him. The curse mark may be a bit of a problem. Good luck, Uchiha. I expect to be entertained, Sasuke. Good matchup. This'll be fun. Sasuke flinched, feeling the sting of the mark. Ow. The pain's not slowing down, if this keeps up. Yoroi was smirking under his mask. Oh look! The little boy's in pain. This'll be over fast. Hade had decided the staring contest had lasted long enough, and raised his hand. It's time for the first match of the preliminaries to commence. Everyone other than the two combatants should move to the upper gallery now. Everyone slowly made their way up the stairs, where they finally got the chance to talk with their friends and teachers. Before going up, Kakashi had a little talk with Sasuke. Sasuke, there's something you need to know. Don't use the Sharingan. Sasuke's eyes widened, but he quickly regained his cool. How do you know? If the curse mark on your neck begins to run rampant, the consequences will be deadly, changing your life forever. This received a nod from Sasuke. If they see any sign of that, the match will be suspended, and you'll be disqualified. Don't lose control. With that, Kakashi walked up to join Naruto and Sakura, leaving a shocked Sasuke. Suspended? Not an option. He'd have to remain in complete control. Sasuke gripped his neck, where the mark was. The mark appears to respond to my chakra. If I use chakra carelessly, then the mark will consume me, calling upon and expending all the power I have left. He released his neck, remembering the scene in the forest. So, for this match, not only is the Sharingan out, but so is almost every fire technique I know, and I'll have to use chakra sparingly even for normal arts. Now, what to do? Kabuto was watching the scene, observing what was about to come. Of all the opponents you had to get, Yoroi is the worst one for you. All Konoha applicants were on the right side of the arena, with only the Sand Ninja on the left. Everyone was preparing for the upcoming fight, watching with the utmost attention. Kakashi had returned to his other students, but though he wanted to question Naruto about his missing sword and clothing, he decided it best to wait until Sasuke's match was done. Sasuke, you better not lose, because I'm going to beat you. Naruto was nearly falling off the railing, he was so far off, trying to get the best view possible. Alright. Round 1, Uchiha Sasuke vs Akato Yoroi, begin. The words barely left Hade's lips when Yoro formed the hand seal. Shall I start? Confident, aren't you? Yoroi went through a few more seals before his right hand began glowing blue. He hunched over, forming a smaller target, while slipping his hand into his shuriken pouch. Sasuke saw this and pulled out a kunai just as Yoroi threw a trio of shuriken at him. Sasuke loaded his arm for a strike, and swung, parrying the shuriken and sending them back at Yoroi, who slipped to the left. Sasuke groaned, the curse on his neck throbbing. He couldn't stay standing, and fell on his right side. Yoroi took advantage of Sasuke's position and jumped into the air, and punched downward at Sasuke. Sasuke saw this, and rolled to the side, as Yoroi buried his fist into the tile, loading his left arm for another strike, but he never got the chance. Sasuke plunged his kunai into the ground, stabilizing himself, and kicked Yoroi's feet out from under him. He grabbed Yoroi's arm, planning his fall, and planted his left leg over his neck and his right around his arm. His arms had a firm grip on his right arm, securing him in an armbar. It's over! Suddenly Yoroi gripped Sasuke's shirt with his right arm, hands still glowing. Sasuke felt the effects immediately. What the? My strength's disappearing. What's happening? Sasuke lost the strength to maintain his grip, and Yoroi's arm slipped out of the armbar. He formed a fist, and slammed it into Sasuke, knocking Sasuke flat and releasing himself. He flipped around, and as Sasuke tried to get up, he snatched his head, blocking his eyes. Where's all my strength? It's disappearing. Yoroi slammed his head into the ground, stapling his legs to the ground with his left arm. Yoro chuckled evilly as Sasuke tried to remove his arm from his face, but could only drop lifelessly to the ground. Sasuke, Naruto thought. You're absorbing my chakra. Sasuke managed to choke out. Heh. So you finally figured it out, eh? Slower than I thought. Kabuto looked slightly concerned, but that only covered up his true feelings. Heh. Of all the people you had to fight, it had to be him. Chakra Kyunjutsu. Yoro's cruel ability to absorb another's chakra is quite a gift. It's brilliant. All Yoroi must do is press the palm of his hand against an opponent's body, and he may begin devouring their mental and physical energies. And once your chakra has been devoured, Sasuke, your only option will be to summon the power of the curse mark. I can't wait to see you engorge yourself in all that power. If you resist, well, you'll soon be 6 feet under. Sasuke was running low on chakra. If he didn't do something now, he'd lose for sure and lose the strength to resist the curse seal. Oh, you! Sasuke summoned all the strength that he could. Son of a bitch! Sasuke used his leg to shove off Yoroi's arm and kicked him across the room. He managed to stand up shakily, gasping for breath. Heh. It's almost impossible to believe that a rat like you had any strength left to oppose me. Yoroi performed the jutsu again, preparing for another strike. That was too close. If he makes contact again, I won't be able to pull off another stunt like that, and I'll lose the match for sure, either by losing or suspension. Sasuke thought, still breathing heavily. His goal is to keep me within his reach. I've got one last ace up my sleeve, but how can I? Gaara was looking at Sasuke with disgust. Uchiha Sasuke, is this your limit? Pathetic. Ha, and I thought Sasuke was strong. Naruto yelled out. Yeah, right. I bet Sakura could do better than that. Sure, so yelled out. No, that Otonin with the broken arms could do better. Naruto yelled. Naruto, sure, so. I'm going to kick their asses, he thought. Wait. I got it. That move from earlier, well, you sure have the worst timing for letting your mind wander. Time to finish you off. Yora lunged at Sasuke, preparing to finish him off. So this is the end. Hey, thought. Sasuke, is this all you wait? That's my dash. Lee's thoughts were cut off as Sasuke fell back on his right hand and bashed his left foot into Yoro's jaw, sending him flying into the air. He finished spinning to the right, landing on both hands, and pushing off with his arms. As Yoroi rose upward, Sasuke appeared right behind him. After this, I'll limit it to my own skills, but this battle is over. Sasuke used his index and middle finger of his left hand to press a pressure point on Yoroi's back, making him less resistant. Eat this, Kage-Bio. But before Sasuke could continue, his neck throbbed and his face hardened. Blood flowed from his mouth into the air. Oh no, not now! The mark on his neck began to spread, the flame-like black lines enveloping his body. His muscles clenched, and he began shuddering. Sasuke, you better not lose. Not now, Naruto said to himself. Sasuke tried to calm himself. He's at his limit. He can't keep control. Kakashi thought. I won't stand by here, and let this damn thing consume me. With sheer willpower, Sasuke secluded the power of the cursed seal with his remaining strength, and forced it back into its source. With the power, the flame-like marks receded back into the seal. When the marks had receded, he smirked, having regained his control. Let's finish this. Enko was on the ground. She had a seal similar to his, and to be able to control it with his level of experience was incredible. How? He should be dead by now. How can he force it to recede with his level of experience? From here on out, it's all original. Sasuke pushed Yoroi with his left hand, pushing to the right and causing Yoroi to spin to the left. Sasuke readied his left for a roundhouse kick to meet his spinning target, but Yoroi blocked the kick with his arm. You never learn, do you? But Sasuke used the rebounding force from his leg connecting with him to remove his leg and spin to his left, loading his left arm and delivering a devastating backfist to his face. followed by a hard punch into his chest, and while keeping his rotation, Sasuke delivered the finishing heel drop just as Yoroi hit the ground, cracking the hard tile. Sure Renden, blood dripped out from under Yoroi's mask as he lost consciousness. Sasuke skidded to a halt about 2 meters away on his face. Hate quickly observed the scene, and quickly checked Yoroi, but already knowing he lost consciousness, he looked over at Sasuke, and smiled slightly when Sasuke managed to slowly kneel, wiping some blood off his face and breathing heavily. I'm halting this match before it goes any further. Uchiha Sasuke is the clear winner, and the champion of the first match of the preliminaries, and shall advance to the third exam. Well done. You did it! Kakashi said as he appeared behind Sasuke, supporting his back with his knee. Those techniques he used up to the Shusha Rindan were undoubtedly from Guy's fighting style. He must have learned it when he sparred with Lee. The crowd, with the exclusion of a select few, was awed by this agile technique. Lee was especially impressed, though he kept the figure of a determined statue. That move, he copied it in one encounter. That move requires a high level of body strength gained from years of intense training. Lee's sensei, Guy, was also impressed. The lotus isn't something that can simply be copied, even with the Sharingan. And then there's the final move. What a show-off. Are you teaching your students to be punks or something, Kakashi? Last year's top rookie was Niji, and it seems like this year it'll be either Uchiha Sasuke or the blonde kid. If everyone fought each other as themselves, who would win? Tenten asked herself. I could have done better, Naruto said in his head. To come into full bloom with your Sharingan at such a young age. He's just like you, Obito. Kakashi thought to himself. I see why people say beware the blood of Uchiha. Amazing! He actually suppressed the cursed seal with his own squandering strength. Even I couldn't do that, and I was trained by. I don't even want to think about him. Anko thought, anger burning in her eyes. Gaara stood as still as a statue, staring at Sasuke. Kankuro looked nervous. Not this again. Well, that was unexpected. I thought he was gonna lose. Katsu said, not likely. He is a Uchiha after all. Shido said, don't think that blood and names make the skill. Siko said, Sasuke-kun looked so cool. Ino yelled, eyes glowing. If they're all like this, we're doomed. Shikamura thought, I'm starving. I wanna go back to the buffet. Choji whined. He got lucky. You got that right, Kiba said. Kabuto wore a hidden smirk. He's stronger than I thought. The medics put Yoroi on a stretcher and began carrying him out. The head medic walked over to Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke, we must escort you, too, and put you under the care of the medical squad for the best possible treatment. Kakashi put his hand on Sasuke's shoulder. It's all right. I'll take care of him. He kneeled down by Sasuke and whispered so only he could hear. You'll have to come with me. Don't worry, I'll seal that curse mark. Kakashi said. We will start the next match, Hate said. Wait until after the prelims, I want to watch the other matches. Sasuke said. No. Kakashi said. Sasuke gave him an angry look, but he ignored it. Don't get so mad. If we don't take care of that now, it will be too late. I won't listen to your selfishness anymore. Kakashi said. Everyone looked at the board as Sasuke and Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke. Abumi Zaku versus Busujima Siko. It seems like it's my turn, Siko said. It seems like I'm fighting her. Zaku said with a leer. She disappeared and reappeared in the middle of the area as Zaku walked down with his arms wrapped up. It's the Otonin that Sasuke beat up. Sakura said. He's actually fighting like that. Kiba said. He can't win. Niji said. After he was there they stared at each other. Now we will begin the second match, Hate said. Maybe you should just give up. That way I won't damage your beauty face. Zaku said. Hate took this as a sign to begin. Alright, second match between Abumi Zaku and Busujima Siko. Begin. He said. Forfeit. She said. This one moves a little bit, Zaku said, moving his left arm. And one arm is enough against you. He said. Go, Siko-chan. Kick his ass. Naruto cheered. Everyone was looking at him weirdly except for Shuro, who had a sly smirk on his face. What the hell, Naruto? Why are you cheering for her? You just met her a few days ago. Sakura said, though Naruto couldn't hear her. Siko had a light blush on her face as Naruto cheered for her. She glanced back at him a little distracted. Zaku took this as a sign to attack and lunged at her with his fist reeled back. He soon for this to be a mistake when she grabbed his fist and threw him to the other side of area. Woohoo! Go Siko-chan! Naruto cheered. Damn, Naruto is loud. Everyone on the balcony thought. Naruto stopped cheering, feeling killing intent coming from Shido, who was with Katsu to the right of them. He ignored it and turned to Shurso. What? He asked. What the hell do you think you're doing? Cheer for her, you idiot. Naruto said. But... He started. No, but cheer or I'll burn your manga collection. Naruto said in a dark tone. Shurso paled before turning to the match. Kurenai stared at him with a smirk, thinking he wasn't going to do it. Go Siko-san. You can do it. Shurso yelled, causing Kurenai to face fault. Siko-chan. Siko-chan. Naruto cheered. Siko blushed harder hearing Shurso cheering with Naruto. Take this. Zankaha. He yelled with his arm pointing towards her. Sound waves shot out of his hands towards her. Siko smirked and drew her sword faster than most people could see, cutting the attack in half. Zaku looked shocked to see that happen. Naruto stopped cheering and stared at the katana that he now recognized as an old katana. It was at least 56 inches overall. The hilt was a black wrapped in golden nylon cord. The guard was gold with a black gem on it. The blade is about 45 inches long and a white color with yellow along the edge of the, making it a yellow color glow. Naruto felt the presence that the blade let out and couldn't how in his awe expression. Katsu stared at Naruto's expression and smirked. It seems like he can sense it. He thought. I guess she did pick the right target this time. He thought, watching the fight. Siko started to walk towards him. He started to back away. Damn it, she cut through it like butter. He thought. I can't fail anymore. Zaku thought, bring out his other hand. He can use his other hand. Kiba said, surprised. Die. Zankakyakua. He yelled. A large sound wave came from his hand heading for Siko. She looked at it as it came towards her. Siko-chan, look out, Naruto yelled. The loud boom of impact was heard, but because of the attack, dust was kicked up so nobody could see anything. Naruto and Shurso was quiet as the dust cleared. Both of them saw the movement heading for Zaku, though he couldn't. Look, I blew her away, he said before laughing. He let out a loud ear-piercing scream as both of his forearms were sliced from his body. Blood sprayed from his wounds in gallons. Somehow she didn't get a drop of blood on her. You could never defeat me, Siko said before hitting him with the back of the hilt in his chin. Siko-chan. You're so great. Naruto yelled, making her blush again. I'm going to kill him, Shido thought angrily, clutching his fist tightly. She's blushing again. Though I could see why. Nobody has ever cheered for her. Katsu thought. He looked to his side, seeing Shido face red with anger. He even makes Shido angry. I like him, he thought with a smile. The winner of the match is Busujima Siko, he said. Siko took out a cloth and wiped her sword before sheathing it. She started walking silently towards the balcony. Medics hurried out to pick up Zaku. Hey Naruto. Shurso called. Yeah? Naruto asked. You must have one major crush on her to cheer that loud, Shurso said with a sly smirk. At that moment Naruto froze. If they would have been looking at Siko, they would have also seen her stop momentarily with a blush on her face. What makes you think that? Naruto asked with a blush his face. Well, you're stuttering for one and blushing, Shurso said in a matter-of-fact tone. Naruto looked around for a distraction and found one when he saw the black screen change. Hey look, they're picking the next two fighters, Naruto said, pointing. Everyone who was listening turned to the screen and seen the two fighters' names. Shurso sent Naruto a look that said this isn't over, and Naruto groaned. Siko took this distraction and used her speed to get back to her team unnoticed. Abirame Shino vs. Maki Durakaki. Shino walked down slowly as another boy waited in the arena for him. The boy had slightly yellow eyes with long black hair tied up in a ponytail. He had on baggy blue pants with lightning bolts going up each side with bandages holding his left pant leg, and a blue long-sleeved shirt with raindrop printed on it. and a mist hitae tied around his forehead. The boy looked slightly interested. Bug user, eh? Interesting. Shino just looked steadily on as the boy said curtly, Durakaki. He murmured, Shino. He said. After the introductions, begin. Hate said calmly. Quickly they jumped apart. Durakaki drew kunai and tossed it at him. Shino leaned to the side dodging them. Bug started to come from out of his clone and head towards Durakaki. He jumped back and made some hand seals. Raibakufu, Durakaki said. Immediately the surroundings exploded into a huge tornado of lightning flying towards Shino. Shino appeared behind Durakaki after the blast. Bug clone, he said simply. He threw a punch at Durakaki as he turned, catching him in his chin. Durakaki flew back but flipped and landed on his feet with a frown. Just what I wanted you to do, Durakaki said smirking. Suddenly a water clone jumped out of the floor with a dagger of lightning in its hand towards Shino's back. It shoved the dagger into Shino, and everyone was surprised when blood poured out of the wound. Shino coughed out blood, and his eyes were widened slightly looking back at the clone. How? He said out of gritted teeth. Durakaki's smirk widened. My bloodline allows me to control water and lightning, and by combining the two it creates an invincible weapon. Because of your bugs I knew how to beat you. Remember when made the lightning blast? That jutsu's purpose is swallowing a sample of chakra from the enemy into the user. And with my bloodline I made a water clone, and making the water clone produce a lightning attack the dagger became invincible. I knew that wouldn't help because of your bugs, so I transferred your chakra sample into the dagger. In which your bugs know of your chakra in there, so they assumed it wasn't a threat. You were a great opponent, Shino, he said. His clone increased the lightning output in the blade, shocking him. Not being able to handle the pain, he fainted. Medics rushed out and took Shino away as Hate exclaimed, Winner, Maki Durakaki. Acknowledging the win with a nod, he jumped back up to his two teammates, who congratulated him on a good win, and that he would be a good chunin. Shurso's eyes narrowed. By their talking I can all assume Durakaki is the leader of Team Mist. A smirk crossed his face. It would be interesting to fight Durakaki, but Katsu would also be good, he thought, eyeing both of them. Hearing the clicking of the board he turned, and his eyes narrowed as the names read. Yamanaka Ino vs. Harino Sakura. Naruto groaned loudly. Shurso smiled. Come on. Maybe it will be entertaining, he said, as the two girls walked down the nervously. Every person that knew them save the jounin stared at him and stared. Feeling a little bit self-conscious, and feeling what he said was dumb, he put his head down in shame. It's okay, Aniki. Everyone says something stupid at one time, Naruto said, patting his brother on the shoulder. Yeah, I know, he said, letting his head up. He looked at his brother's clothing again, and grabbed his brother's hand. Come with me. We need to talk in private, he said, pulling his brother towards the bathroom. Hey! Wait! Naruto said. He turned slightly and saw Katsu whispering in Siko's ear while she glanced at him with a light in her eyes and a smirk on her face. He lost sight of her as he was pulled around the corner. Naruto turned towards his brother as he was pulled into the bathroom. The door closed behind as his brother let go of his arm. He turned to him with a raised eyebrow. So what happened to you that got your shirt all torn up? Shurso asked. Naruto frowned and leaned on the door. I got into a fight with Orochimaru in the forest, Naruto said. Shurso's eyes widened before narrowing in a glare. I see. So he was disguised as the Kusanine, right? He asked. Naruto nodded as he looked into his brother's eyes. And where were your teammates? He asked in a big brother tone. They were frozen and of no use, so I created shadow clones and got them out of the area, Naruto said. Shurso's eyes widened before narrowing again. This time, instead of his blue with black eyes, there was red eyes with 3 tomo marks around his pupil. His killing intent flaring around the room, though now directed at Naruto. Naruto felt it, and simply shrugged it off, though it still affected him. So you fought him alone? It was more of a statement than a question. Yes. Having them there would have been more dangerous than fighting him alone, Naruto said. Either way, with your limiter on, you would have stood no chance against a Sannin. Shurso uncharacteristically yelled. And what would you have me do? Run only to be chased down? As you said, he's a Sannin. I would have had no chance to escape. Naruto yelled back. Beside, if it came due to it, I could have used the Kyuubi chakra to alert you or something. The two brothers glared at each other, each with cold eyes. Shurso knew Naruto was right but couldn't stand the thought that he would do something so stupid. After a few seconds, Shurso deactivated his Sharingan and backed down. You're right for once, Shurso said. He went over to the stall and opened it and went in. Naruto panted lightly as he slid down the wall. Even after all this time, his killing intent still affects me, Naruto thought as heard his brother flushed the toilet. His brother walked out the stall and went to the sink. He turned on the water and started to wash his hands with soap as he looked in the mirror. Naruto looked into the mirror at his brother's reflection and saw the hint of insanity in his eyes, but that was always there. Sorry I got out of control there, he said, turning off the water. Naruto waved it off. It's alright. If you did something that stupid I would be pissed too, Naruto said, but I would never do anything that stupid. Shurso said. It'll happen soon, Naruto said. He looked up at the ceiling as his face took an emotionless expression. Do you still want to do it? Naruto asked. Yeah, Shurso said darkly. And I take it you're still against the idea? He asked, looking back at the mirror. I just don't want to betray the old man, Naruto said. He would understand. After all, this village has only given us crap for things we're not responsible for. These demons we have, Haigara, Itachi, they look for a scapegoat, and the first ones they see is you and me. They deserve to die for it, Shurso said with an evil grin. He stared at Naruto through the mirror and smirked. Don't you agree, Ototo? He asked. I'm not all for that revenge shit. Once I get out I don't really want to return, Naruto said, looking at him. Shurso only smirked harder. You didn't answer the question, he said. I know. But let's get off this for now, Naruto said, smiling. Fine with me, but tell me what happened to your katana, he said, the smirk leaving his face. Orochimaru had a sword that cut straight through it. I was kind of in a hurry, so I left it, Naruto said sheepishly. Take this, he said, taking off his nodachi and throwing it towards Naruto. Naruto caught it out of the air and held it. It is yours after all. I thought you wanted to learn kenjutsu, Naruto said with a smirk. That whole swordsman thing is not for me. You're samurai freak, Shurso said. You just suck at it, Naruto said. As you do for genjutsu, Shurso replied. Naruto shrugged as he stood up. So? I find people who use genjutsu can't really fight face to face, Naruto said. But genjutsu works, doesn't it? He asked. I guess, Naruto said, strapping the nodachi to his back. Let's go back, the battle is probably over by now, Naruto said. He opened the door and led the way back to the area. On the way, Shurso grabbed his head in a headlock and started ruffling his hair. Naruto broke out of the hold and fixed his hair and chased after his brother, who ran down the hall. When Naruto caught up, he saw one thing. The girl Otonin was on the ground while Shikamaru was smirking. He looked at the side and saw that both Ino and Sakura were knocked out cold. What just happened? Naruto asked. Everyone looked at him, and Kakashi, who had arrived at the beginning of the girls' fight, filled them in. I see, Shurso said as Shikamaru was declared the winner. Shikamaru started to walk back as the medics came. I didn't think we were talking for that long, Naruto said as the next two names appeared on the blackboard. Kinyuta Dosu vs. Akimichi Chuji. Chuji fight now, Naruto said. I was hoping to fight last. At any rate, I have to win so I can fight Sasuke-kun in the finals. Orochimaru-sama, I will not fulfill your wishes. I now realize what your plans were. The way you went ahead to find Sasuke before we did and implanting him with your curse instead of killing him. In other words, we were your guinea pigs to see what Sasuke-kun's real strength really is. During these trails, what you really wanted life but Sasuke-kun himself. Dosa thought. I'm really being taken lightly, he said, jumping down to face Chuji. Well then, match begin. Hate said. You can do it. Shikamaru cheered. Fat ass. Ino said, who had woken up a few minutes ago. Those guy better watch out. I'll win this match quickly and tear them up, Chuji said angrily. Focus, Chuji, Naruto yelled. Shurso looked at him in surprise but didn't say anything. Well then, I guess I'll skip the playing and end this quickly. Fatty, Dosa said. Chuji got angrier. You mummy-wrapped freak. I already know what your weak points are from the last battle. You released destructive sound wave from the holes in your arm. Chuji thought. Baika no jutsu, he said, making a seal. His body ballooned out to an incredible size. Nikuden sensha. Chuji's limbs and head receded into his body as jets of steam streamed out from where each appendage disappeared to. He then began to spin at a very rapid velocity. I'm not fat, I'm pleasantly plump. Chuji yelled, racing off towards Dosu, who dodged. All right, Chuji. Crush him. Ino cheered. His attacks can damage his opponent even with touching them. But that's only if their ears were exposed. How will he use his sound attack when his opponent's head is buried under all that flesh and is using ear plugs on top of that? Plus, Chuji is a constantly spinning meatball. Shikamura thought. Dosa kept dodging Chuji until his back came against the wall. He waited until Chuji was close to jump out the way. Chuji hit the wall, cracking it as he spun. Here we go. To get out of there you will have to spin in the opposite direction. Which means you have to stop once. Dosa thought. That's where I'll attack. He thought as Chuji stopped spinning. He went down, hitting his claw into Chuji's back. It's no use, I have my ear plugs. Chuji said smugly. You idiot, the body is made up of 70% of water. Sound passes through water. Naruto yelled. Everyone looked at him, surprised that he knew that. Even Shurso looked on surprise. What he said? Dosa said, flicking his amplifier. Wayo! Chuji yelled as sound waves hit him. The wall that he was in cracked, and he deflated, falling to the ground. He laid there unconscious as steam came from his body. Winner Dosa Kinuta! Hate said. Orochimaru-sama, no Orochimaru. I'll teach that I'm no guinea pig. Dosa thought with his fist shaking. Naruto watched with an emotionless face as Chuji was checked upon by medics. Sheesh, and his opponent was even trying. Shikamura said. Oh well, he lost, but I'll at least take him to eat some steaks. Asuma said. Ino shook her head as the medics took him away. The board started again, stopping on two names. Osamu Shido versus Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto narrowed his eyes, looking over to Shido, who had an evil smirk on his face. Shurso grabbed his shoulder and leaned to his ear. Don't lose control, he whispered. Naruto nodded as Shido quickly jumped over the railing. Naruto saw Siko and Katsu look at him before turning ahead. Naruto smirked as he jumped over the railing. Show me how strong you are. Siko thought. Naruto, don't show too much of your skills. Shurso thought. Let's see if he's worthy to be Siko's target and mine. Katsu thought with a sadistic smirk. Naruto, you will do fine. Kakashi thought. I hope you win. Naruto Sakura thought. I don't care if he's your brother. I still think he's weak. Kiba thought. So that's Uzumaki Naruto. Durikaki thought. I'm going to kill you right now, trash. Shido thought. Naruto stared at Shido with an emotionless face as Shido glared. I'm going to kill you, Shido said angrily. Naruto raised an eyebrow at him and smirked. Then bring it. Naruto said. Okay. Cough. The seventh match between Osamu Shido and Uzumaki Naruto. Begin, he said. They both jumped back from each other. Naruto quickly removed the nodachi from his back and held it horizontally in front of him, his left hand on the scabbard and his right on the hilt. Shido looked at him as he drew a scroll. He bit his right thumb hard enough to draw blood while unraveling it with his other hand. Naruto just quickly removed the nodachi from the scabbard and tossed it to the side. He lifted it up and rested the blunt edge of the blade on his right shoulder. Shido wiped his blood over the kanji on the scroll, and in a puff of smoke a katana appeared. He grabbed it and quickly pulled out the katana, slanting it towards Naruto. It seems like he's using it. Katsu said. Using what? Shurso asked. That katana is supposed to be the best one that he has. At least that is what he says. Katsu replied. Why is that? Sakura asked. Don't know. He never really told me. Katsu said. Naruto took a look at the katana. The hilt that is 10 inches long is wrapped in black leather. The tsuba is black and circular. The blade of the katana is about 35 inches. Naruto stared at it knowing he's seen a katana like it before. You like? This sword was made by Masamune Kenshin. Shido said smugly. With this and me defeating you, Siko will be mine. He thought with a smirk. Masamune Kenshin? Shurso said in surprise. Do you recognize the name? Kurenai asked. Yeah. Naruto has a whole lot of books on famous katana. And at the top of the list are the swords that he made. Shurso explained. So that sword is supposed to be great or something? Asuma asked. Who cares? A sword is just a sword. They aren't so great. Kiba said. Everyone turned back to the field as Shido started talking again. Naruto simply stared at him. What's wrong? Don't know who he is. How about I? Masamune Kenshin was a swordsmith who made 7 swords in his lifetime, each which was said to be able to cut through any object and was indestructible. Naruto interrupted with a calm tone. They also are said to have a soul of their own. No, your katana isn't made from him. If any katana was made from him, it was hers. Naruto thought, taking a quick glance at Siko. I see. So trash like you knows a little history. You should realize now that with this Masamune katana, I'm nearly impossible to defeat, so just stay still and die. Shido snarled. If that sword really is made by Masamune, then come and fight me. Naruto said tonelessly. Could you two start sometime today? Hate said, annoyed with all the talking. Yeah. Stop talking and kick his ass, Naruto. Sakura cheered. All right. Naruto said as Shido disappeared. He disappeared. Ino yelled. No, he just fast. Asuma said, following his movements. He is still slow. Shurso thought as he watched him approach Naruto from behind. Naruto quickly turned around, blocking Shido's horizontally swung. Naruto pushed him back and lunged at him with an overhead swing. Shido barely sidestepped the swing and countered with another horizontally swing towards Naruto's chest. Naruto ducked under the swing and tried to sweep Shido's legs from under him. Shido jumped back, dodging the sweep, and drew 2 kunai. He tossed them at Naruto only to have them cut in half by his no-dachi. Shido landed, gazing at him with a calculating look while Naruto rested the blunt edge of his katana on shoulder again. You're trash, but I have to say nice re. Shido started, but Naruto didn't give him a chance to finish. Naruto dashed at him, griping the hilt of his no-dachi with both hands ready for another overhead swing. Not expecting it, Shido could only raise his sword horizontally to block. Their swords collided with a loud clang. The ground under Shido's feet cracked as his katana shook in his arms. Naruto raised an eyebrow before jumping back a few times. Shido panted as he felt his arms shake. If this was a different sword, it would have broken under the force of his attack. He thought, glaring at Naruto. Whoa. Now this is interesting. Hate thought, no longer standing lazily. His form is good even though it leaves too many opens. Nice footwork and power, though he could use a few pointers. That katana is quite sturdy. Naruto said with a smirk. What did you expect from a blade made by Masamune? He asked, panting a little. Naruto replied. Shido charged at him and swung his blade horizontally. Naruto blocked it and pushed Shido back. Before Shido could regain his footing, Naruto came at him with a diagonal swing upward. Shido managed to block it but flew back from the force behind it. Shido landed and slid back as Naruto charged at him. Naruto jumped toward him, raising his sword overhead. Shido jumped to the side, barely dodging the attack. Naruto's sword cut the ground as Shido landed and charged at him. Naruto raised his sword up as Shido swung his katana horizontally. Naruto disappeared as Shido's sword passed his position. Where did he? He started before feeling a weight on his katana. Shido turned to look at his katana just to see Naruto standing on it with a smirk on his face. He didn't have time to react as Naruto did a back flip off the sword, hitting Shido's chin in the process. Shido fell back as Naruto landed on the ground. Shido hit the ground hard and rolled away from Naruto, trying to gain some distance. Shurso got back up and charged towards Naruto, his sword positioned to stab. Naruto started to back up as Shido came in range and started to thrust his sword at him multiple times. Naruto blocked each stab with the broad side of his no-dachi. Naruto watched carefully as Shido attacks started to come faster. Shit, Naruto thought as his katana went through his defense and cut his shoulder. Naruto blocked the next stab and swung his no-dachi diagonally upward. Shido dodged barely by jumping back. He didn't get a break as Naruto charged toward him, jumping up. He jumped to the side, dodging the attack, and quickly jumped at Naruto. Naruto blocked his next swing before pushing him off him. They started to trade attacks. The sounds of metal clashing and sparks filled the area. Whoa! Who would have thought Naruto was so good with kenjutsu? Ino said. Good job, Naruto. Sakura yelled. How did he get so good? I didn't train him in kenjutsu. Kakashi thought, narrowing his eyes. He has a weird style. Siko said out loud. Shurso looked at her with a smirk. I agree with you there. It's too bad Naruto is not being serious. Shurso said. He's not? Sakura asked. Nope. From my knowledge, Naruto uses 3 or 4 styles that he knows. One with the no-dachi, one with a katana, another one that works for 2 katana, and the other I don't really want to talk about. I've seen the one for the no-dachi because that was the one he tried to teach me, and that style is not it. Shurso explained. Wait, so what is that style he's using now? Kurenai asked. I have no idea. I'll ask once he gets up here. Shurso said. Kurenai's face faltered, but she regained her composure as Shido flipped in the air from a punch from Naruto. Shido landed on his feet and wiped the blood off his chin as he glared at Naruto. He's almost as strong as Siko when it comes to kenjutsu. By the way he looks, he doesn't have any real jutsu, so I'll beat him there. Shido thought, smirking. He stabbed his katana into the ground and quickly did some hand seals. Naruto glared at him before charging chakra into his no-dachi. Suki Haretsu, he said with his right arm outstretched and his hand open. A white chakra ball appeared in his hand and shot off towards Naruto at a high speed. Naruto's eyes widened at the speed and brought his sword downward, releasing the chakra. Sonic Yaiba, Naruto said as a sonic arc came from his katana. It intercepted the jutsu that was almost to Naruto and made it explode. Because Naruto was so close to the blast, the shock wave it sent off forced him off his feet and into the air. He created a sonic wave with his sword and chakra. Durikaki thought, staring as Naruto landed and slid across the ground from the dust that was picked up. That was close, Naruto thought as he saw the dust start to clear. Shido burst through the dust with his sword ready to stab Naruto. Naruto smirked as he leaned back, watching the sword go over his head. Naruto swung his sword, knocking Shido's katana from above him, and leaned back up. He jumped up quickly as Shido punched and grabbed his wrist. He used his grip to swing his body around and plant his feet into the side of Shido's face. He let go of his wrist as Shido flew into the wall. Naruto landed gracefully with his no-dachi resting on his shoulder. You know, while this is mildly entertaining and all, I don't have all day. You know, things to do, girls to ask on dates. Naruto said, glancing at Siko. Fuck you. Shido said, growled out as he stood up. Sorry, I don't swing that way. Maybe you should seek out my teammate Sasuke. He just happens to gay. And I saw him give you glances. Naruto said. Hey, don't call Sasuke-kun gay. Ino and Sakura yelled over the laughing of the guys. Tell me that when he has a girlfriend. Naruto yelled back. Shido took this moment of distraction and did some hand seals. Katan, Kagawa, Shido said, blowing out fire. Naruto! Pay attention! Shurso yelled out. Naruto quickly looked back towards Shido to see a stream of fire head towards him. Naruto's eyes glazed over as the fire reached him. The fire engulfed him, pushing him back into the wall. Naruto! Sakura screamed out. After a few seconds the fire died down, revealing ash. Ha ha ha! I burned him to ash. Shido said. Siko looked to her right, seeing Naruto resting with his right hand that still gripped his no-dachi on the hand seal statue, and his face shadowed by his hair. I didn't see him escape. She thought. She noticed that his left arm has burn marks on them, and his pants were burned while steam rose from his body. So he didn't fully escape. I thought I overcame that. Naruto thought, looking up at Shido, who was laughing. Suddenly, instead of Shido standing there, it was a man Naruto recognized all too clearly. Naruto's eyes clouded over with hate as he stared at him, not realizing his no-dachi was flashing a black color. After a few seconds it stopped flashing, returning to its original silver color. Naruto lifted his sword as the form of a dragon could be seen wrapping around him. What's this? A Mist-nin with red spiky hair and brown eyes thought. He had his hitai tied around his forehead with bangs of hair covering most of it, and a tooth necklace around his neck. His clothing was a long-sleeved brown shirt with red pants that had chains dangling. His name was Honu Katamaru. Naruto started catching everyone's attention. What? I thought, Shido said, looking back over to the ash, then back to Naruto. I hate fire. Naruto growled out, rushing toward Shido, his irises a dull red color with slits for pupils. Shido watched as Naruto phased out, and was replaced by a large gold and black color dragon. Shido looked at him shocked before swinging his sword down at the dragon. The dragon dodged it easily and charged right into Shido, flinging him into the air. What the fuck? Everyone thought as they watched the dragon soar towards Shido. The dragon flew by him, slashing him with its claws on the way up. Then it turned in the air and rushed at Shido again. Shido saw the dragon turn back and swung his blade at it. The dragon dodged again and went past him. As the dragon went past him, it slashed his shoulder. The dragon came back around as Shido spun in the air towards it. He put his sword in a position to defend, only for the dragon to pass him again, cutting his arm and cracking his sword. Shido didn't have time to notice as the dragon turned and came back at him. He did a few hand seals and pointed his hands at the dragon. Nibai Suki Haretsu! Shido shouted. 2 white balls shot off towards the dragon. The balls hit the dragon on its head, causing a small explosion. Shido fell to the ground, hitting it hard with his blood flowing from his wounds. Naruto fell from the dark cloud a few seconds later and hit the ground hard. After a few seconds, Naruto pushed himself off the ground, blood flowing from his forehead. His eyes narrowed in a glare. He wiped the blood off his head before getting into a new stance. He turned to his left side and spread his legs. He bent his right leg, resting his weight on it while his left was slid outward. He had both hands near his legs on the hilt, and had his katana pointing behind him. Get up, Naruto said with an anger-filled tone. Shut up, Shido snarled. Shido tried to push himself off the ground but failed. Naruto narrowed his eyes but waited. That stance, this is the kid she taught? Hate thought, narrowing his eyes. Why is he waiting? Ino asked. Naruto got this fucking honor code. He never attacks a guy who down. Shurso said. Doesn't he know that he is a ninja? Kiba asked. He doesn't really care. Shurso said as Shido managed to stand up. He lifted up his sword and ran toward Naruto, though his eyes were hazy from the blood lost. Naruto got ready for the last strike and gripped the hilt of his no-dachi with both hands tightly. Naruto waited as Shido swung his sword horizontally toward his chest. Everyone in the area felt a slight breeze as Naruto swung his blade upward. His blade sliced straight through the ground as he brought it downward and bring it up to Shido. Surprise displayed on Shido's face as Naruto's no-dachi sliced through his sword. Naruto quickly twisted the blade so the edge was facing towards Shido and swung it downward. Shido let out a painful yell as the no-dachi sliced away from his collarbone to his right side. Blood sprayed from his wound as he fell to the right side of Naruto. After a few seconds of Shido not moving, Hate figured the match was done. Winner of the match, Uzumaki Naruto, he said. Great job, Naruto. Shurso yelled out. Who would have thought the dead last would be so good? Kiba whispered. Oh. Naruto-kun, flames of youth burn as brightly as 1,000 suns. Lee yelled out. Hell yeah, that was great. Sakura cheered. Finally someone kicks his ass. Katsu thought. His sword changed color briefly. Siko thought, watching Naruto clean his blade and pick up the scabbard. He is strong, but I will kill him and his brother. Niji thought. Naruto put the sword in the scabbard and looked over to Shido briefly. That was so cool. A girl with mid-length blonde hair and green eyes said. She had on a blue tank top with black baggy pants with mist swiveling around her pant legs. Her name was Kiri Kagura, and he looks so cute, she said with hearts in her eyes. Durikaki smiled as his other teammate took on a calculated look. I could have sworn I saw his hair change from black to blonde as he fell. Katamaru thought. Naruto smirked as he walked over to the stairs as a medical squad came out to help Shido. Damn, my head hurts, Naruto thought, touching the wound on his forehead. He looked at his finger to find blood on them, and tilted his head. I was careless. Kakashi, you trained your students well, Guy whispered. Kakashi nodded, though he was questioning Naruto's skill. I have to agree with that, Asuma said. Naruto, that was awesome, Sakura yelled out. Naruto grinned as he walked near Shirso. Hey Naruto, clean off your forehead, Shirso said. Yeah, Naruto said as Shirso took out a cloth. He tossed it at Naruto, which he caught. So that was your dance of the dragon? He asked. Yep, Naruto said, wiping the blood off his head. That was one neat technique. You're going to have to teach it to me, Shirso said. Not a chance in hell, Naruto replied. Why not? Shirso said, narrowing his eyes. Because you're not a kenjutsu type like you said, Naruto said with a smirk. That doesn't mean I can't learn it, Shirso said, twitching. But then you would never use it since you don't have a sword, Naruto replied. Shirso seemed to think it over before turning to the black screen that was switching through names. You're right, he said. I'm always right, Naruto said, smirking. Don't flatter yourself. This is a one-time occurrence, Shirso replied, smirking. You're going to say it again soon enough, Naruto said as the screen stopped on two names, Tamatsu Katsu versus Honu Katamaru. The two teens looked across at each other. Katsu had an eerie smirk on his face while Katamaru had a frown. Katsu was about to walk down when Katamaru raised his hand up. Examiner, I forfeit, he said. Everyone looked at him, while his teammates looked surprised. Katakun, Kagawara started. Are you sure? Hade asked. Yeah, he said. The winner of the 8th match is Tamatsu Katsu, he said. Why did you forfeit? Durikaki asked. Because if I would have fought him, I wouldn't have came out of it alive, he replied. And you're sure of this? Durikaki asked. Katamaru looked at Katsu, who shrugged and turned back to his teammate. Yeah. He is stronger than I am. Avoid fighting him, Katamaru said. His two teammates nodded and looked towards the screen as it shifted again. Hyuga Niji versus Sabaka no Kankuro. Naruto was leaning on the wall, bored out of his mind. Sure, some of the matching were entertaining, but the rest were boring. With a few well-placed strikes, Kankuro was out cold. The match after that was Tenten versus Kiri Kagura. The cute Kagura defeated the equally cute Tenten with ease using a mixture of water jutsus and a well-placed kunai. Then it was the sexy Sabaka no Temari versus Kiba. To say this was a fast match would be an understatement. She knocked both Kiba and his dog out with 2 whirlwind attacks with her fan, though Naruto thought it was cool. Well, anything that has to do with wind was cool in his books. The match after that was Sabaka no Gara versus Rock Lee. The match was very entertaining. Though Lee lost, it was one of the greatest matches of the Chunin exam. It was too bad he got his arm and leg crushed. Naruto would have loved to fight him afterward. The final match was Uzumaki Shirso versus Tsurugi Misumi. Though it was his brother's match, he would say it was rather fast, too fast. As soon as the match began, Shirso appeared behind Misumi and hit a pressure point on his neck, knocking him out cold. To all you who have won the rights to compete in the 3rd round test in the Chunin exam, one is missing, but congratulations to you all, Hate said. Hate looked towards the Hokage, who started to explain the 3rd test. After he was finished, he told each of them to draw a number from the box that Ibiki had. He Genin did what they were told, and drew a number. After they all had drew one, they each told Anko their number. She then scribbled something down on a note of paper. When she finished, she held it out for everyone to see. These are the matchups for the 1st round, Anko said. First match, Hyuga Niji versus Uchiha Sasuke. Second match, Uzumaki Naruto versus Byusuju Masiko. Third match, Sabaka no Temari versus Kiri Kagura. Fourth match, Sabaka no Gara versus Nara Shikamaru. Fifth match, Kinyuta Dosu versus Tamatsu Katsu. Sixth match, Maki Durikaki versus Uzumaki Shirso. Each one of the competitors eyed their opponent. Right in the 1st round? Siko thought. I get to fight her. Cool, Naruto thought ecstatically. HN Durikaki? Shirso thought. I have bad luck. fighting that weakling? Katsu thought. Uzumaki sure so, I should do some research on him and his brother. Durakaki thought. Troublesome, why do I have to face him? Shikamura thought. I have a question. Naruto said with his hand raised. What is it? The Hokage asked. Why are the matches set up so the winner of the match between the winners of the first and second match has to face the winner of the third match, and the winner of the fourth match has to face the winner of the winners between the fifth and sixth match? Naruto asked. Think of it like this: if Sasuke won and Siko won and Temari won, Temari would face the winner of Sasuke and Siko's match. It's the same with the last 3 matches, because it's more interesting that way. Anko said before the Hokage could speak. You have a month to train before the main matches, the Sandaime said. I suggest you use that time well. Why a month? Shikamura asked. Because we have to send out invitations for everyone who has to be here to witness the exam, Sandaime replied. The judges will decide who becomes Chunins and not. Judges? Shino asked. In this exam, Sandaime explained, the ones who get promoted to Chunins are those that show the judges that they have the qualities of a Chunin. A ninja's true strength can only be measured in combat, and that's the purpose of the main matches. Judges are made up of important people from the villages, including the daimyo of the different countries. If that is all, everyone is dismissed, he said. Everyone quickly left ready to get training. Naruto was about to go home before he was tapped on the shoulder. He turned back to see Shurso. Yeah? Naruto asked. I suggest you get training from your sensei. It might be helpful to know some ninjutsu not based on swords, Shurso said before walking off. Naruto smiled before running off to look for Kakashi. After 20 minutes, Naruto found himself in a hospital. He looked around briefly before finding Kakashi walking from the stairs. Hey! Kakashi-sensei! Naruto shouted. Kakashi, sensing what he was going to say, cut him off before he could start. Sorry, Naruto, I can't train you. Why can't you? Naruto asked with a frown. Because I don't have the time to. But I've lined up a teacher for you, an elite jounin who, in fact, is a better teacher than me. Kakashi replied. In other words, you will be taking your time in training one-on-one with Sasuke instead of training all of us at once. Naruto said. Naruto. Kakashi said, narrowing his eyes. Just go on and train Sasuke. He'll still get beat up, Naruto said, turning around and leaving. That brat, Kakashi thought angrily. He arrived in 5 minutes at a training spot. Naruto looked around the training area with a smirk. A river, a few training posts, and a lot of trees. Perfect. Naruto thought. First add weights. Naruto thought, taking out a scroll. He unraveled it, and bit his thumb hard enough to draw blood. He wiped it on the kanji cover scroll, and in a puff of smoke 2 white gauntlets and black greaves appeared. Naruto quickly put them, making sure they were secure. Now what did Shurso said? Oh yeah, add chakra to make them heavier, Naruto thought. He added chakra to the gauntlets and greaves, and like in a blur he was embedded into the ground. Damn, I added too much chakra, Naruto thought, decreasing the amount of chakra. He felt the weight decrease and stood up in a slouch. He held that amount of chakra as he started to do a light workout which consists of 200 push-ups, sit-ups, punches with both hands against the post, kicks with both legs, squats, and laps around the area. After he was finished and took a short break to catch his breath, and he drew his nodachi. He turned to his left side and spread his legs. He bent his right leg, resting his weight on it while his left was slid outward. He had both hands near his legs on the hilt, and had his katana pointing behind him. He took deep breaths as he got ready to go through his kata. Siko watched intensely behind a tree as Naruto went through his kata. She spotted him on the street and started to follow him discreetly. She saw the reaction of the people as he walked past and found herself asking questions, though they wouldn't give her a good answer, only telling her that he was a monster and that she should stay away from him, but not telling why. She broke her train of thought and looked at Naruto's form. No wasted movement, good footwork, his stance is for defense but could change to offense at any time. This style would be hard to win against if my suspicions are right. But that makes this much better, she thought. She watched carefully as he jumped up, spinning. Uzumaki Ryohiden, Kenjutsu no Ugi Erasure no Mai, Naruto said as he spun. Wind started to gather around him as he spun. It compressed around the blade of his katana. Naruto stopped spinning and swung his katana, unleashing the wind. The wind blew back the trees as gash marks appeared on the trucks. Siko covered her face as the wind started to push her back. She smirked as she used chakra to stick to the ground. Ryujin Kaze no Hagosha, Naruto said, swinging his katana again. The wind around him changed into the shape of a dragon, and flew towards the trees and blew back or sliced through every tree in its path or next to it. Naruto came down looking at the destruction his jutsu caused. He landed back in his stance with a smirk on his face. He panted heavily as he made a hand seal. I should get to my own training, she thought before disappearing in a blur. Naruto turned his head to the side, sensing the person watching him leave. I guess I could get serious now, Naruto said. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he said. In a puff of smoke, another Naruto appeared in front of him. They both got into their stance and stared at each other. Both of them closed their eyes in concentration. Flashback. A sword is weapon to both protect and destroy. You must choose for yourself which you will use it for. I can only teach you and show you the paths to the future. Whether or not you follow my path or your own is up to you. Do you understand? A silver-haired female said. Hi. A 7-year-old Naruto replied with a determined look on his face. I'll teach you a style called Fukuarashiryu. My strongest style, she said. Hi, Naruto said with a smile. She got into a stance and closed her eyes. First you have to follow to the wind, Naruto finished as the wind blew past him. Both Naruto and his clone disappeared momentarily before reappeared a few meters from each other, with their backs to each other, and wind blowing wildly around them. Slash Impressions was on the ground in the middle of them. They both turned around only to disappear a second later. The clang of metal rang through the area as the two fought. A few hours later, Shurso came to see gashes on the ground, cut down trees, and Naruto falling to the ground unconscious. He looked at the sky to see the moon at the highest point. Why do you have to be a trainaholic? He asked himself as he approached Naruto. He looked at him with a calculating look before kneeling down next to him. He took Naruto's nodachi and gazed at it. He then looked down at Naruto. He looked back at the sword for a few seconds before sheathing it in Naruto's scabbard with a small smile on his face. Shurso picked him up and placed him over his right shoulder. He held him in place as he held his sword in his left. He disappeared in a cloud of smoke. The next day, Naruto woke up with a start. He yawned as he got out of bed. Naruto got up and started his morning routine. After 30 minutes, Naruto was finished. Naruto wore black pants and a black shirt. He has on his gauntlets and shin guards, his katana strapped on his back, and a kunai pouch on each leg. He walked towards the kitchen and looked around to see the cabinets locked with chains and a note on it. He went over to the cabinet and took the note off. I went out early for training. I suggest you do the same. And no ramen for breakfast. I added new chakra locks and unbreakable chains. Naruto read out loud. Naruto's eyes widened before he checked the locks. No, no! Shurso, you bastard, you took my ramen away! He screamed. In another area,